The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, Dragonuary. Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, come get me. Dragonuary. Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, Dragonuary. Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, come get me. Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, Dragonuary. Cellcast, rock the Cellcast, come get me. Dragonuary.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, despite the fact he's being a god of destruction, he got stuck babysitting a Saiyan princess. Welcome, Jacob.
Yeah, I need a nap again. Go away, kid. You bother me. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, if I remember correctly, got mad because someone was crying and destroyed a universe. No, wait, wrong movie. Welcome, Drew.
Well, when you're trying to take a nap, you just hate being woken up.
That is true.
Also joining us this evening is a man. Well, when you're back that up. Also joining us this evening is thankfully not a man who destroyed an entire galaxy simply because a little baby cried when he was young and made him cry. Welcome, Nathan.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was just trying to power up for this.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, you weren't having a hernia?
I really couldn't tell.
What? No. In order, well, I take it back. In order to get fully powered up to like Super Saiyan levels, you have to have a hernia and be constipated at the same time. That's just
Apparently, I think we've all been there, done that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
That can get a little gross, so I'm going to move on from that.
Yeah.
So yes, tonight we are looking at a film called DragonBall Super. Broly. I have to put the space in there because
you must do the pause that is required by the colon.
Yes.
Well, in this case, I have to because, and this kind of gets into my first viewing of this way back in the day, because this movie came out while we were in the pre-stages of making this podcast for the first time.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
And I remember we were talking one night. I think we might have been at your friend Aaron's. I think when this happened.
Yeah.
And you had read somewhere, someone on your Facebook or Twitter or something, back when it was still called Twitter.
Yeah.
Would gone to go see DragonBall Super Broly. And I didn't know there was such a thing. And I thought, oh, Super Broly. So he's more super than the last two times he showed up, or three times he showed up.
Three.
No,
but...
you don't count the third one because he wasn't really alive on that one.
No,
But
I saw the first two. I didn't see the third one. I was told.
See, I own all three. I've only watched the first one because Broly was the movie that broke me. When I was watching through the Dragon Ball Z movies back in the day.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's been years.
Jack, so
well, I'm going to be honest with you. It's been years since I've seen those first two. I remember thinking, okay, the first one's okay. And then the second one was just like, eh. Because it took place during a time in Dragon Ball Z where Goku was dead, so it was the kids fighting it. Or just
we'll get to this in a minute. Yeah. But the thing, because we'll have to talk a bit about Broly, because I mean, it's the entire reason this movie exists.
Mm-hmm.
But like none of the Dragon Ball movies, until you get to Broly, could actually fit in the continuity at all. This one barely does, but it still doesn't make sense because the only place it fits in is in the week between when Cell announced the Cell games and then when the Cell games took place, which Goku and Gohan should be Super Saiyan all the time during that, but they're not in this. So
wait. We're talking about the one we're talking about tonight?
No. The original Broly.
Oh, I don't care.
I
about
totally
that.
get it. Be like, where is he going
This
with
was
this?
Dragon Ball Z. I have friends who are otaku who say Dragon Ball is. Here's the hot take for you. They say Dragon Ball is not a real anime.
No, I'm gonna have to go.
Ball.
I'm gonna
Disagree
say
with him on that.
No, on that, because it's still far better anime than Crayon Shinchan, and that is still technically anime.
I know.
So-
it's just that they really hate anime. Excuse me, they really hate Dragon Ball. So there's like, it's not a real anime. So that's how they
Well, by that definition, neither is Naruto, One Piece.
Yeah, I know.
And
It's one of those things like
that
they
is
don't like.
inspired by this.
I was gonna say they don't like Dragon Ball Z, but they like all these other shonen shows, and I'm
right.
like,
It's like, but
It was
like
the show, the manga that launched, shonen.
So yeah, but anyway,
Yeah.
Why don't we get into the spoiler-free thoughts on
Yeah.
this right quick?
Certified fresh and spoiler free.
So Nathan, since you are our guest, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your spoiler-free thoughts on this? And if I'm remembering correctly, you're not much of a Dragon Ball fan to begin with.
no, I'm not a massive Dragon Ball fan, but I have seen some of it, so it's not like I'm going
Mhm.
into this completely cold. And I've done things like play Dragon Ball video games. I have always had at least a few friends who have been really into it. So all of these factors kind of thrown together, I have actually absorbed a lot of, and obviously watching stuff on YouTube where I'm watching something and then they start talking about Dragon Ball Z. So I've learned a bunch of kind of by osmosis. So funny enough, I know you sent me like a crash course video on Dragon Ball,
Which unfortunately did not include any of Super.
No.
but-
yeah,
all
but
the way through GT.
here's the funny thing, because of what I have seen and all the stuff I've absorbed by osmosis, I wasn't confused at all watching this movie. I understood everything. Now I'm sure there's probably some little things in it that I'm not quite getting, but if I had gone into this completely cold, I would have been incredibly lost. But even with what would be kind of, I don't know, barely a step above beginner level knowledge of this franchise, I still got it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to say that I was able to glean that. And the other thing, the main reason that I'm here, my two co-hosts for Henshin Power V3, because I'm here representing that podcast and not the Monster Island Film Vault, so I'm not in kayfabe tonight. Although the next time I'm on, I will be in kayfabe.
Which will be in how
a
many
couple of weeks.
couple of weeks.
I think it's literally the first episode after
is.
our 6th anniversary.
It is
episode.
literally.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So strap in, folks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the-
gonna be a fun
the-
episode.
but there's-
It's going to be another year of Marchand.
Yeah. Which is what I'm saying. I'm saying powers that be a culture box. I've been on between like my numerous appearances on Spellcast, where I'm basically the unofficial third co-host, and the handful of times I've been on Retro Rewind, and how close a
Oh,
ties
glad
I
you do
have
that
with
like
these
I do it.
emotions. Just put me in
Retro
the network,
Rewind.
all right? But anyway.
Thanks, Roy.
I like how you Elmer fudded that like I did.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyways, I was trying to say that my two co-hosts, Jake, who was here before, and Chris. Chris is not here because it's his birthday, so happy birthday,
Yes,
Chris,
happy-
the Sentai guy. And Jake, the Metal Don, is not here because he's too busy being a better dad than Arnold in Jingle All the Way. So, because he's actually going to see the kid do his karate promotion.
Yeah.
Some would say he's being a better dad than Goku.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, snap. Anyway,
Dragon Ball Fire.
I'm here, like I said, for that show because on HPV3, we loves Johnny Young Bosch. He's our boy.
Too
on
bad he's
that
not
show.
in this.
Nope.
What? I thought he was.
No. This was he takes over Broly after this film.
Are you sure?
Yes. I double checked to see when that actually happened.
Yeah, because he's Broly in Superhero, right?
Yeah, he is Broly in Superhero.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Well, then it's completely pointless for me to be here. Bye.
Oh, no, don't say, come on.
Oh, are you sure? Because when I was listening, it's like that sounds like Bosch, but not quite like Bosch. So I just thought he was just putting in, a good enough performance that it's not sounding the same.
So it's is Vic Mignogna but it is
Oh,
not.
that's what it is.
It's
Okay.
not the same Vic Mignogna changed the voice a little bit from what he did originally, mostly because he's not growling every 5 seconds in this. So,
Well, that's why it sounded familiar. Got it. Now
But,
I just feel like an idiot. But
hey, your Henshin Power V3 is about transforming superheroes.
True.
And
we do
let's
have
face it, there's a
them
lot of
here.
transformations in this.
And there's technically a couple of kaiju in this thing.
more kaiju in the next one, but
Well, yeah, but there's still technically kaiju in this. And
Yes.
when we get to the Batman section, it's accidentally appropriate just because of, I'm Nate and
Mhm, right.
and I like certain things.
right. So this was probably my third viewing of this film. The first time was after I'd found out it was coming out, when me and Jacob had met that time, and I missed the initial showing, and I just assumed, oh, if it's this weekend, I'm gonna miss it. I'll have to catch it later. It just so happened I went and looked on like the next weekend. I checked tickets to see what was showing, and this movie was still showing. So I thought, oh, sure, I'll go watch this movie. I want to. I don't want to wait 6 months whenever this thing's going to finally come out on home video with Funimation. You never know. So I went and watched the film. I was the only one in the theater because the little bitty town, I say little bitty, the Dragon Ball fans were done after the first weekend there in Tyler. So I watched it by myself. I hadn't been in a big hurry because at the time I hadn't finished Dragon Ball Super yet, and I knew that it took place after. But that's fine because you don't have to watch any of Dragon Ball Super to get what's going on in this, because anything you need to know from that is explained in I'd say the first 5 minutes, but that first 5 minutes comes after like a half hour of backstory. So,
Yes.
So I remember this film actually being extremely good from back in the day. When I watched this time, I literally thought there was only maybe half an hour of fight with Broly, and there's a little bit more than that. I didn't realize, in my mind, it was all that backstory was the story of this film. I don't know why, but I still enjoyed this one. This is a fun one. You almost don't have to know as much Dragon Ball going into this as you may have for the last two, but it never hurts. But if you'll enjoy Dragon Ball, definitely go watch this film. It's a good one. And yeah, we'll get to more of that in a minute. Jacob, what are your thoughts?
I think the first time I saw this, it was just random by chance. I saw it and it was like, okay, this is interesting. This is cool. And then, granted, I didn't see all of it. I saw probably more of the part into the more of the fighting aspect of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, kind of not really growing up, but more but I was in football when I was in high school. And we would have some downtime. Someone would obviously bring a VHS from home, and we'd watch a couple of episodes of Dragon Ball Z. That's my
5 minutes of fighting.
Yes, 5 minutes of fighting the entire time. And but it's I watched it, and so we were gonna go watch Superhero in theaters to do a reaction to it.
Not last year, but it was year before last.
Yeah, the year before. Yeah. So what Drew had asked me, have you seen Broly yet? And it's I think I have. And so I watched it. I was very impressed. And I was like, wait a minute. There's an original one, right? I thought I watched that one too. And I was like, no, I actually watched the abridged version of that first. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That's what happened
because the
too.
abridged is better than the original.
Dragon Ball Z Abridged is a special thing, and we will have to come back to it at a later date.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
But their bit when they finally get to the meme was actually a funny subversion, I have to say.
It's 1006.
1006.
Right, really? Yeah, Nappa, go at it.
Yeah, kick his butt, Nappa. No, wait a minute. Darn it.
Fun fact. Somebody. Fun fact. Somebody on the YouTube version of my Rito episode for Scyther Podcast said that my Rito sounds like the original dub voice actor for Nappa.
The one I don't remember anymore.
That has been a while. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Bill, I thoroughly enjoyed watching for this review. I thoroughly enjoyed it. To me, I think it's probably the best of the 4 Dragon Ball films we're reviewing. It's a fun time. Go watch it if you are subscribed to Crunchyroll. You can go watch it there, or go.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, it is on Hulu.
That's
Okay.
where I watched
Yeah.
it.
I told
Sub
Brad it
and
was on Hulu.
dub.
Oh, nice.
That was nice of them.
Yes, I agree. So it's like, yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it. Highly recommend it. Go watch it because they're gonna. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, you've already watched it, and if you're not a Dragon Ball fan and you know a little bit about Dragon Ball, you'll get it.
Yeah. If you hadn't watched Super, don't worry about it. You don't really have to for
Yeah,
this
because
one.
it just explains what's going on. Of course,
Yeah,
Goku
what
wants to
little-
do a fight again.
You might get confused who the purple cat and the blue angel dude are, but
Yeah.
if you watch Battle of Gods Resurrection F, you'd know that too.
Yeah.
So,
Again, I have absorbed things through osmosis. So I'm like, oh, Beerus, god of destruction, sleeps
Yes.
all the time. Got it.
Yeah, he's a cat.
Yes.
That's his entire.
It's because he's a cat.
Exactly.
All right, so why don't we just then go ahead and jump into the full spoiler-filled section of
Yes.
this film?
Yes.
The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Dragon Ball Super. Not Hero.
Hero.
I read Paul J. Powers' comments. Messed me up.
This isn't the song
D-Lit,
Hero
cut that.
from Spider-Man. Come on.
D-Lit. Yes, thank you, D-Lit.
One of these days, Drew, you are going to get a real AI that will edit your podcast, and you will just name it D-Lit.
I have been tempted to find me like a Chat GPT voice thing and just have it record all the lines, but I haven't had a chance to mess with it enough to get that figured out.
Oh,
yet.
so so is the current D-Lit that I hear during the credits and all that? That's not an
So
AI.
that's an
generated-
automatic voice creator, but I had to type all that in. And it was a pain in the neck, and that's why I haven't updated it. Yes. All right, so the following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Dragon Ball Super Broly. Listener discretion is advised. Dragon Ball Super Broly was directed by Tatsuya Nagamine, who also directed the One Piece Field Z. Which I'm not even sure what that is now that I'm looking at this. But I mean, it's definitely in the vein of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
or Dragon
there's
Ball
an
Super.
anime I'm planning on avoiding because, good lord, is it?
I tried. I so tried to get into One Piece the right way. I didn't watch the 4Kids dub. I'm not stupid.
But that's too fun. That's too fun.
Oh,
not to
I
watch.
enjoy the rap, but I wanted to get the decent dub. I got 3 DV Blu-rays into it. Bear in mind, that's something like 15, 20 episodes.
Years.
And I realized, this is moving slower than Dragon Ball. I can't do this. It was also written by Akira Toriyama. And I don't mean there was someone did a screenplay of it, but no, the only credited writer. He did the screenplay. He did, just like Resurrection F, he did the screenplay and the story for this. It's all Akira Toriyama.
In air quotes.
God rest his soul.
I still, no offense to Mr. Toriyama, I enjoy a lot of his work. I still somehow bet there was at least a script doctor somewhere.
Yes.
Because this is better than the last film. English cast, we've got Sean Schemmel as Goku. And in Tom and Jerry and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he played Mr. Salt.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the movie Tom and Jerry and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a crossover between the movie and Tom and Jerry.
That's a lot of ands. That's all.
It is a lot of
Well
ads.
done.
This is a movie I've been tempted, maybe not bad movie month, but when I want to just mess with Jacob.
The Drew screws with Jacob. Month.
Yeah. Jacob has a seizure midway.
Well, I mean, wait till you see what they do with the tunnel
no.
scene.
Here you go. It's the Drew Screw month. That's what it.
Truce.
Oh,
geez.
that's just wrong.
Oh.
Or the Screw Drew month.
Yeah,
that's how it's
I
gonna.
don't
That's what it's gonna be for Jacob.
Moving on.
Move it right along.
Dig-a-doom, dig-a-doom. Chris Sabat was the voice of Vegeta and Piccolo and King Vegeta. So he voiced his own father.
That I
Well,
see. I
that-
called that. I was just like, why does King Vegeta sound like Piccolo?
Because they didn't want to use the Vegeta voice.
Yeah.
And Chris Sabat, bless his soul, has about 10 voices total.
Yeah. Fun fact, in One Punch Man, the first villain that you see in that show just looks like a purple Vegeta.
Yeah,
and I think it was done on purpose. And when they dubbed it, they got Chris Sabat to do his Piccolo voice.
Of course.
And his name is like Mr. Virus or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So, which is funny when you consider Virus was literally the original version of where Beerus's name came from.
Yes.
So, anyway, he played in Final Fantasy Dissidia. Yes, the Final Fantasy fighting game. He played Garland.
Junior?
No, not Garlic Jr. We didn't go into the dead zone.
Are we sure?
I don't know. Some parts of Final Fantasy.
I went to the. It's only one syllable, so it doesn't quite
Yes.
work.
Yeah,
Never
no.
mind.
But Garland was the villain of the very first
Garland,
Final
okay.
Fantasy. Which I see Garland, I think of that town outside of Dallas.
Yes.
But Chris Ayres was the voice of Frieza. And in the English dub of Gatchaman, he played Sub-Captain Santo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I've
I don't
been
know who that
watching
is.
Gatchaman. I haven't been watching a dub, but I have been watching Gatchaman.
Vic Mignogna was the voice of Broly. And in the video game Bubsy the Bobcat in Paws on Fire, he played Bubsy.
What's this guy's name again? Vic Mignogna?
Vic Mignogna.
Yeah,
That sounds like a serial killer's name.
A fun fact, I have actually...
We'll get to Vic
well,
Mignogna in a minute.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, Vic Mignogna. We haven't gotten to Vic Mignogna yet.
We'll get to Vic Mignogna in a minute.
Vic
Okay.
Mignogna.
There's a reason this is his last
I
time.
was gonna say, who were you talking about? I'm
Vic
confused.
Mignogna.
Vic Mignogna.
There's a serial killer from Canada who killed cats and then he killed a person.
Are we talking about the guy who voiced Broly in this?
That is who Vic Mignogna is, yes. I don't know who Jacob's talking about with this
I
killer
was just saying,
cat
I'm not sure
guy.
what's going on there. I was trying to say, I have met, I don't know, I'm guessing they're married by now, but at the time they were engaged. I met his fiance at a convention. And why are you bringing those up and not the two most important roles the man has ever done?
You mean besides Captain Kirk and Star Trek Continues?
Yeah, yes. He was also Edward Elric.
Oh,
I
Metal
forgot he was-
Alchemist.
I forgot he was Edward Elric.
In both
okay.
versions.
I forgot. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's also from what I
Fullmetal
hear.
Alchemist is one of those where I've seen like half of both shows, so I don't even know what's entirely going on in it. So
Yeah.
So
I've also been told he's a Christian fella. So there you
Ah.
go.
So if you're curious, like where I'm the serial killer I'm talking about, go to Netflix and watch the documentary "Don't F with Cats." You'll find exactly what I'm talking about.
So moving on.
Yes.
Ironically, since we just talked about Bubsy the Bobcat,
And Beerus.
And Beerus.
wait till we get to another person here in a minute. Damian Clark was the voice of Paragus, and he is Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2.
Okay.
Erica Lindbeck played Chilai, and she played both Cheetara and Wily Kit in Thundercats.
The
Roar.
original or the new one?
Roar.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that one doesn't count.
The bad one.
That one does not exist.
Chitara, not Cheetara.
I
No.
said Cheetara.
Okay, my bad.
That does Thundercats Roar does not exist. What is this thing?
I mostly said that to get this guy angry.
It gets me angry too, okay? Thundercats was my favorite cartoon as a child.
Thank you.
Fair
Thank
enough,
you.
fair
Thank you,
enough.
brother. Thank you. Preach it. Preach to the choir. Woohoo.
I will admit the anime was good.
Yes.
I wish we'd gotten more of it.
Yeah, the 2011 reboot. That was just epic beyond belief. But oh no, it didn't sell enough toys.
Stinking Bandai mandates or whoever was the
It
toy
was
maker for
Bandai.
that.
It was Bandai.
Oh, hey,
Bandai America.
be nice to that band, okay?
Ay.
I'm slipping into MIFV Nate a little bit there.
Bruce Carey was the voice of Lemo. the old man driving the spaceship.
Are you going to talk about what new food puns we have in this one at some
Yes.
point?
Oh,
Okay.
of course. Of
The
course.
ones I know about, because I didn't catch all of them. But Bruce Carey played the Man with Broom in Pilgrim's Progress, the animated movie Pilgrim's Progress.
Huh? I'm
I
not
can't
surprised they
imagine
made a
that's-
movie about that.
I can't imagine
Sounds
that's
like
fun to watch.
that sounds like the perfect Cellcast movie right there.
It's not gonna be in a hurry.
Unless someone wants to Patreon, be like, pay $10 and make.
Oh, I've got plans.
within her-
I've got plans for a Patreon pick.
I'm just waiting to hear. Edwin Gonzalez is the only one who's claimed one so far, and he got it in before other things forced him
Okay,
to have
do you
to
have
step out,
do you have a
so,
do you have a Patreon pick that's close to Christmas?
probably?
I'm claiming it right now. I will upgrade my patronage, but you can put me down right there. All I
know.
will say is, to quote a famous Klingon proverb, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Don't tell me you found a fourth animated Titanic film.
What kind of a monster do you think I am? I've got
said it was
something
He
even
is alive
worse.
and was done. Moving on.
Moving right along.
Dig a doom. Monica Rial was the voice of Bulma. And in My Hero Academia, she played Tsuyu Asui, also more commonly known as Froppy.
Ribbit.
Ian Sinclair was the voice of Whis, and he played Brooke in One Piece. Jason Douglas was the voice of both Beerus and King Cold. And in The Walking Dead, he played Tobin.
Okay.
Sonny Strait voiced Bardock, and he was Koro Sensei in Assassination Classroom. Lastly, Emily Neves, who voiced Gine. I picked this one for you, Nate. She was May in SSSS Dynazenon.
I haven't seen Dynazenon yet, but
Yes,
thank
but
you.
I knew if you, I can't even remember what all the S's stand for, but I knew it was that.
Super. So
I knew
well,
I knew
can't.
it was Ultraman connected.
No, well, okay. Am I allowed to go on
Go
a
ahead.
short tangent? Okay.
Yes, go on a tangent.
All right. I don't remember what it stands for in universe, but it is a reference to an Americanized version of a Subaraya Tokusatsu show that is not Ultraman, but it's aesthetically similar to Ultraman. The original show was called Gridman the Hyper Agent.
Mm-hmm.
So which was basically like Ultraman if he was a computer program. So it's like Ultraman meets Tron.
Right.
Well, that was Americanized Power Rangers style in the mid 90s as strap in for this one. Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad with
That's
an
it.
S.
Of course.
So it's a reference to that, and there's something in universe that it's supposed to mean, but I can't remember.
Because the word cyber is spelled with an S.
Yes.
It was the 90s,
Of
sir, because as Linkara
course.
reminded us, poor literacy is QL.
We're just lucky it
Everything
didn't
was
have,
like S's and it was all S's and Z's.
We're just lucky it wasn't extreme.
Yeah,
the
It's-
90s.
it's without the first E.
yeah. So that's the long and short of
Right.
it. Yeah, and Dinah Xenon. That's the one you were talking about.
Yeah,
right?
that's the
Dinah
one
Xenon.
that she was on.
Okay, Xenon was the name in America for one of the other. It was like a mech, basically, that was in the show. I forget what its name was in the original Japanese. He looks suspiciously like Optimus Prime, though. Suspiciously.
Fair.
And I still have the toys I still have some of the toys for that show, as I was a big fan of it. Probably why I ended up loving Ultraman when I finally saw it.
Fair enough.
because Gridman, or Servo, as he was called in America, looks a heck of a lot like Ultraman.
Was he related to Tom Servo?
It was his daddy, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm sure. Moving on. Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we have?
Is this my cue to do the obvious joke?
It's over 9,000! Which probably isn't that far off in reality.
Which version do you want? Because there's actually a compilation video with all the different versions.
Oh, I've seen
of
them
all
all.
the different dubs of all
Oh,
of those.
yeah, I love it.
I've seen it.
And it's
great.
actually
It's
kind of
great.
funny
So
to
good.
see how the same lines are being delivered very differently by all
Yeah.
these different actors. So, like the original guy's like, "It's over 9,000," and then like Chris Sabat is just, it's like, "It's over 9,000."
It's 1006.
And then you have the guy from A Bridge who's just like, "It's
then
over
you have-
9,000."
And then you have Chris Sabat in Dragon Ball Z Kai, where he goes, "It's over 8,000," which is actually closer to the manga.
That's the actual They mistranslated it slightly originally.
I mean, technically, over 9,000 is over 8,000, so it's
it
technically
doesn't
true.
matter. It was actually
close.
said in Japanese. It was 8,000. So they
Actually,
decided to fix it.
here's the
Oh,
funny part of
gosh.
that. When they went to do the version they broadcast on television for Kai, which 4Kids was involved with that because that was the only place they could put it on broadcast television at the time, was the 4Kids entertainment block. Which, boy, you look at that, what they changed on that. Whew. They actually changed the line back to over 9,000 for that.
Probably for the meme.
For the meme, that's
Probably.
the only reason. But still, I thought it was funny. Once again, Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we
I'm
have?
sticking with over 9,000. Grok.
Jacob?
This one probably 30.
You're both wrong, and y'all both need to come down a bit.
90.
I haven't even re-looked at the number, and I know it's like, I'll need to come down.
18.
90.
Android 18.
Not quite. Come down,
40,
Jacob.
You know what? The answer to life, the universe, and everything.
It's 15.
15. Okay.
Oh, okay.
15. Once again, I am not reading every single name. If you want to know all these names, you're going to have to add up everything from the past 3 episodes. But for this one, we got Banjo Ginga, who played. This is the I didn't have any new English people, so this is the Japanese dub. So Banjo Ginga.
Someone named their kid Banjo.
Banjo. Yes,
Banjo. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's Japanese. It's probably like Banjo Ginga or something.
Wait. Ginga? How is it spelled?
Ginga.
He's a galaxy, because that's the Japanese word for galaxy. So he is a galaxy of banjos.
The Bluegrass Galaxy. Either way, he was King Vegeta in Shush.
Is this why I'm in the middle, so I can separate you two?
No, I just thought it would be fun.
Monkey in the middle. Except in this case, don't pull my tail. I get big and angry.
Anyways, once again, Banjo Ginga played King Vegeta in this, and he was Clayton in Kingdom Hearts. You know, the villain from Tarzan.
Yes.
Tomokazu Sugita, who plays Limo in this, in Kingdom Hearts, was the Master, Chrom, Tekamaru, and Yusuke Kitagawa in Super Smash Brothers, because Smash Brothers is a Kingdom Hearts game, if you didn't know.
Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, Smash Brothers Ultimate specifically. All the others, no. Although technically one of these, it only listed the other one, but I know that character is in Ultimate, so I just copied it over. But anyway, Hiroki Harada was a background artist in this, and he plays Captain Jack Sparrow in Kingdom Hearts.
Where'd the rum go?
But why's the rum gone?
Exactly.
I don't even want to know how you say that in Japanese. Shin Amori, who was the butler in this, played Gibbs in Kingdom Hearts. Aya Hisakawa, who was Bulma in Dragon Ball Super, is Palutena in Smash Brothers.
Palutena?
Palutena.
It's actually Palutena. I always thought it was Palutena, but
it's Palutena. That's how Pitt pronounces her name.
Well, maybe
it's how the
Pitt
announcer
is wrong.
That's how the announcer pronounces her name too.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So it's Nintendo approved.
If the all-knowing announcer is saying it that way, I guess there's no argument.
He
I'm
said,
not even trying, and this Joker is laughing over
I
here.
know. That's
But this Joker, I have to point this way.
Yes. his
I can.
so true. Hisao Igawa, who was Moroka in this, was Falco Lombardi and Nightmare in Smash Brothers, and finally, Kimiko Saito, who played Berry Blue in this, is Mii Fighter Type number 10 in Smash Brothers.
Me what?
The Mii
Mii
Fighters
Fighters.
that are in Smash Brothers, they all have different voices.
Oh.
So she's one of those voices.
Oh, okay.
And of course, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, was the character designer for the Dragon Quest characters that appear in Super Smash Brothers.
Ah, gotcha.
What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So info and stuff. It has a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. Its Rotten Tomato score is a 78. Available to watch on Crunchyroll sub only.
Oh my gosh, he's not PaulJPowers.coming this.
Production.
I'm waiting to find out this is actually Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan.
Oh,
but
come on. You're welcome. I was trying to be clever about this.
And that was the thing. I was only guessing you were going to do that. I hadn't heard anything that told me you were doing that yet.
See, that's
Except
the problem,
when you
Jacob.
said sub only, and I was like, no, it's not on Crunchyroll.
I was gonna
only.
say, here's the problem, Jacob. When after you've done the joke often enough, we just assume there's a joke. So if you really want to screw with us, you just don't do the joke.
Okay, then.
Which is in itself a joke.
True.
It's like joke inception.
I called that you were going to do this two episodes ago during Battle of Gods, but you did it for that when you tried to read Dragon Ball Evolution.
I'm just trying to mimic a podcasting hero of mine with his favorite little skit. Thanks, PaulJPowers.com. But either or, I was gonna finish what I was gonna say. Was like watch Crunchyroll sub only, but the English sub is available if you know where to look. Anyways,
buy the DVD.
Hang on.
somewhere else.
Where's my phone?
Where's your phone?
I'm checking something.
Oh no.
He's got to Google me.
He's doing what everybody has to do on Facebook now. Everyone is fact checking each other.
Yes, I am fact checking you because I
Drew community knows.
I'm going to make sure it's sub only on Crunchyroll.
It is sub. It is. I agree. I've checked it. Because believe me, if it was dubbed on Crunchyroll, I would have watched it on Crunchyroll. But okay.
I watched it on Blu-ray because of course I owned the movie.
Of course you had the
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray. Of course. All right. So getting back to the super version of this. All right. IMDb has a 7.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has a 78 audience. No. Correction. I read that wrong. Rotten Tomatoes has an 84 and a 93% score. Available to watch on Crunchyroll or able to rent on Apple Plus for $3.99. Production was Toei Animation, distributed for the last time by 20th Century Fox Studios, Japan, and over here in the States.
So does that
for
technically
multiple
make this?
reasons.
Yes, for multiple reasons, because Disney bought them.
I was gonna say, doesn't this technically make this a Disney movie?
No.
Because that would be a weird one.
Ironically, you can watch Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball and Daima on Disney Plus if you have the Hulu.
Yeah, if you have the Hulu one.
So
I'm just saying.
Yeah, because Disney's trying to buy everything.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes. All right.
Which is astonishing because I can't imagine Toei wants to share their one of their flagship animes with the mouse.
Okay, I will say that he was correct. It is sub only on Crunchyroll, which makes no bloody sense.
Thank you. Fact check me. Come on. All right. So.
Of course, it also makes no bloody sense that Battle of Gods is not on Crunchyroll anywhere.
I agree. That makes no sense.
All right, Snopes, you calm down over there. Drew Snopes over here.
Jacob, continue, please.
All right,
This is
runtime
going
is
to be a long episode.
runtime 100 minutes. 100 minutes runtime.
Which will not be
Really-
the length of this episode.
Yes, we'll probably run longer than this episode, either way. All right, so release date was December 14th, 2018 in Japan, and its US debut was January 16th, 2019. Oddly enough,
So this wasn't when we were at Aaron's house.
no,
This was while we were probably recording Frozen.
probably.
In fact, I bet it was Aaron whose text you read. That's why it's in my head.
Probably.
Anyway, continue.
Probably.
You know
Either-
you're a podcaster when you contextualize memories using episodes that you recorded.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right. So,
It was the best icebreaker.
Needle pulling thread.
yep.
That was a different podcast. That was Movie of the Week podcast.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. All right. So, anyways, all right. So, box office.
Forgot how fun it was to screw with Jacob.
Yes, because it gets so sidetracked. Like, wait, where, what? Squirrel. Run. Oh, paper. What?
little Korean ghost girls.
Oh gosh. Roll boy. All right. It had an estimated budget of $8.5 million. The opening weekend for the United States and Canada, was $9.8 million on January 20th, 2019. Its domestic gross was $30.7 million, and its international gross was $115.7 million. All right, so
Okay.
its home release on April 16th, 2019. Funimation released the North American market the packaging of Blu-ray disc, DVD, and digital copy for the film. The Blu-ray of the film debuted first, selling 2,900 and change copies, while the DVD debuted ninth. And they both raised more than $6 million in retail sales in the United States in its first week launching. Dang.
It's
Six sold.
Broly.
Yeah, Broly. 6 million units. Good night. $6 million
His sales power
In
is
Japan
maximum.
or America?
in America.
In America.
Both, probably.
Maybe.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to
Well,
remember.
it's set in the United States,
this?
so
Was
it's-
it this or Superhero that was like this shocking hit in America because it was released in January or
It was
something?
Biss. It was Broly.
Was it Broly?
Yeah,
That was
Broly.
like people were like, my gosh, this thing is making money.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, this was also like the first one that hit IMAX theaters in America too.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That'd been fun to watch on IMAX.
I wasn't paying that money for it.
Fair. All right, so
Since we don't have a real IMAX, but
that is true. All right, so the film released in Japan in regular and limited edition DVD and Blu-ray formats on June 5th, 2019. The limited edition for both formats included a DVD featured TV spot, promotional clips, world premiere event, and a event held on December 15th, 2018. Also included a 10 badges featuring Sans, 32 postcards, an original card folder, and 60-page booklet. Sorry. All right, the home video release of Dragon Ball Super Broly debuted at number 1 in the Japan animated DVD and Blu-ray rating and sold an approximately 64,259 copies in its first week. And for the let's see, yeah, it sold a lot. It did very well. So yeah, that's info and stuff.
I mean, it's only one of the most popular animes ever.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, featuring one of the most popular
Yes.
villains of Dragon Ball ever.
A legend or whatever.
Which one?
Both. I mean,
I was gonna say,
Broly
I know Broly seems to be pretty popular. Frieza's an icon, but
Yeah.
Broly, for whatever reason, has got that special sauce that it sells well in both countries.
Yeah.
Which is odd because it's like this is the first time he's ever been canon. So
yeah, and we'll get into it, but I got opinions about the original version.
oh, trust
Don't
me, we all have.
Yes, we all
probably all have the same opinion about the original version.
Because there's a lot of people who have very fond memories and nostalgia for.
And by the way,
All
it
I'm
has nothing
saying is I have no nostalgia for the legendary Super Saiyan.
I didn't either.
I'm just well, I will say this: it has nothing to do with the fact that he got turned into a Swamp Thing knockoff.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Even though that was an incredibly stupid idea.
That would be Bio Broly, I think.
Yeah, it's Bio Broly.
Okay. Here's like a mini rant master for you.
Hang on.
First
Hold
off,
on.
bringing him back. First off,
This audio clip owned by Nick Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault. For more information, please go to monsterislandfilmvault.com.
hi, that's me. Anyway, I've not actually seen Bio Broly. So first off, I think bringing him back from the dead a second time is already kind of straining credibility. But I haven't even seen it. But I already know this has one of the stupidest problems ever.
Because he's dead
Broly
twice.
is created on an island. Guess what his kryptonite is?
Water.
Water.
Water! Why are you making your supervillain when he is surrounded by his weakness? This is like somebody giving. This is like Lara. Is it Lara? I think it's Lara. Yeah, it's Lara. This is like Lara. I think it's Lara. Superman's Kryptonian mother giving birth to Kal-El in a cave made of kryptonite. Stupid. Anyway.
Wasn't all of Krypton kryptonite?
But it wasn't radioactive.
Yeah. Okay. Admittedly, the Superman comics are in my blind spot, so I've not actually read it.
Smallville.
I guess
Superman movies?
kryptonite are tiny bits of Krypton, but they were made radioactive
That can't
by
be
the
good.
explosion.
I know that. I have watched the first. Well, I've seen the first two Superman films, and I've seen
The third one's pretty good.
the fifth one technically.
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, Superman Returns.
Returns, and I've seen Man of Steel, which the less said about that, the better.
Hey, that's a good film. I think it's a good film. Personally, I think that's a really good film.
I just wish it was in color.
Huh? Oh, jeez. Wow.
I'm not a fan of Zack
Drew,
Snyder, okay?
Drew, you need to go buy yourself a second mic that is completely junk just so you can drop it.
Give me a second. I may have one, but I'm not going to go back and look for it right now because
Oh my gosh.
I have to dig
took me a
for where the
fraction
left.
second when you realized when you said it, I was like, oh, snap.
Yeah. Anyway, is it my turn? I lost where I am. Summary.
Yes, he finished info and stuff. Do your shtick.
Yeah. Get to it.
I have a lot of shticks. Okay, summary. In age 732, after being informed by the galactic warlord King Cold that his race will now serve his son Frieza, King Vegeta finds a commoner infant named Broly within a nursery only the elites are accepted in. Learning Broly's power level greatly exceeds that of his son, Prince Vegeta, whom he believes
Is it over
will-
9,000?
Maybe. I think actually in Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan it is.
It's over 9,000.
When learning Broly's power level greatly exceeds that of his son Prince Vegeta, whom he believes could liberate their people and conquer the universe. King Vegeta exiles Broly to the distant planetoid Vampa in hopes the infant would die before becoming a potential threat to the Saiyans. Broly's father Paragus attempted to rescue his son, only for the ship he stole to get damaged beyond repair on entry to Vampa. Stuck on Vampa, he raises his son to exact revenge on King Vegeta, killing the Saiyan they brought with them.
I just realized something. Broly's father is named Paragus, right?
Yeah. Don't jump on what the puns are yet.
All I'm saying is Broly's name should have been Junior.
Oh my gosh.
Moving on.
We'll rattle on.
Dig-a-doom.
I killed Drew. Did you see that? He
5
died
years
a
later.
little bit inside.
I didn't quite catch the whole thing because I went to Garlic Jr. But anyway, take over the world.
Did you get it or
Oh,
not?
Pinky in the Brain.
No.
No, that doesn't. I'm lost.
Junior Paragus.
Junior Paragus.
I'm sorry.
It's
Apparently,
great.
someone didn't grow up watching VeggieTales.
Oh, I know Junior Asparagus. I get that now.
I was thinking Greek mythology.
But once again,
he goes to the sun. What?
once again, I did say,
not that.
please do not jump on the name
That's
podcast.
fatalist, you moron.
I will say that as Jacob and I have been planning out our next season year technically and Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, was on the list at one point, but it got knocked off when I realized, oh, I forgot to put Patreon episodes in here.
Yeah.
So 5 years later, a low-class Saiyan warrior named Bardock grows concerned about Frieza's reasons for calling the Saiyans to planet Vegeta, and confides his suspicions in his wife, Gine. While realizing Frieza's intentions to exterminate their race out of fear of the Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan God legends, he and his wife, Gine, send their infant son, Kakarot, to Earth sometime before Frieza commences the genocide of the Saiyan race. Besides Broly, Paragus, and Kakarot, the other survivors of the Saiyans include Kakarot's brother, Raditz, Vegeta, and his comrade, Nappa, and Vegeta's brother, Tarble. Tarble has only shown up one time, and I don't think that movie was ever released in America because it's in Yo Son Goku and His Friends Return.
Which means Vegeta, despite Prince of the Saiyans, as he says, is the prince of a grand total of 6 people, half of which are half breeds.
By the time you get to Super, it's technically 3, 4 maybe.
And like I said, and half of
5.
those are half breeds.
And they don't listen to him anyway. So
That's true.
Yeah, I just love it. He's like, I am Vegeta, Prince of the Saiyans. Yeah, your kingdom is 6 people, dude. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Yes, but he has his own princess now.
Not my Bulma!
I am not referring to her. Referring to their daughter.
Who wants to summon a magical dragon to de-age yourself 5 years?
We'll get to that.
And the universe's greatest despot.
We'll get to it.
5s. That's
43 years later, in age 780, and a few months after the Tournament of Power, Kakarot, now named Son Goku, trains with Vegeta around a deserted island before Bulma is informed by her son Trunks that the Dragon Radar and 6 of the 7 magical Dragon Balls in her possession were stolen by low-class Frieza Force soldiers. Bulma leaves her daughter Bola with Beerus, while accompanying Goku, Vegeta, and Whis to the Arctic region to find the 7th Dragon Ball before Frieza can retrieve it. Meanwhile, Broly and Paragus are rescued from Vampa by Chi-Lai and Limo, 2 low-class Frieza Force soldiers on a recruitment mission. The 2 are brought to Frieza and are enlisted to defeat Goku and Vegeta. Chi-Lai steals the remote Paragus uses to keep Broly submissive before the 2 groups cross paths on Earth. Broly fights base form and Super Saiyan Vegeta with his increasing power and adaptive fighting abilities, allowing him to seemingly best the Saiyan Prince in his Super Saiyan God form. First time we got to see Vegeta in that form. Goku challenges Broly in his base form, Super Saiyan God, and Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, which we now officially call Super Saiyan Blue by this movie.
I was gonna say, I remember playing I saw a video of someone playing a Dragon Ball video game when they were still using that designation, it was just lots of S's.
Oh, so
it's like
even in
Super Saiyan, it's like SSGSS Goku.
I think they still use that in Sparking Zero, the newest fighting game, because SSB doesn't look right. But anyway,
Super Smash Brothers. What?
Maybe it is a Kingdom Hearts game. I lost where I was in here. Sorry.
I am never coming back. I am destroying this
Broly
podcast.
manages to gain the advantage. Goku manages.
Agent of Chaos.
Goku manages to gain the advantage despite Broly gaining more strength, while Paragus fears the worst upon learning he lost the means to snap Broly out of his wrathful form. However, remembering the circumstances that allowed Goku to acquire his Super Saiyan form, Frieza covertly kills Paragus to awaken Broly's latent Super Saiyan powers. The fully mindless Broly overwhelms.
And then has his Oscar moment.
Yes. The fully mindless Broly overwhelms both Goku and Vegeta in their Super Saiyan Blue forms before being directed to attack Frieza, while Goku uses his instant transmission technique to get him and Vegeta to Piccolo. I'm going to complain about that here in a minute. The two proceed to teach Vegeta the fusion dance technique, as he and Goku eventually succeed in forming Gogeta, who arrives to the battlefield as Broly attacks Whis after defeating Golden Frieza.
And if this was the TV show, it would have taken about 90 episodes to get through that hour.
We'll get there. Yeah. Gogeta dominates the fight in his Super Saiyan form before an infuriated Broly powers up even further into his Super Saiyan legendary form, countering by assuming Super Saiyan Blue form with their violent clash, breaking through multiple dimensions before arriving back on Earth.
Which with one of the best lines of the movie. What in the multiverse is this?
Yes. Yeah. Gogeta defeats Broly using a meteor explosion and nearly kills him with the full force Kamehameha. But Chi-Lai and Limo, who had formed a friendship with Broly, summon the Eternal Dragon Shenron with the Dragon Balls and use their wish to transport Broly safely back to Vampa. The two then escape with Gogeta, preventing their ship from being destroyed by Frieza, who decides to spare them as they can make Broly a more stable asset in his military force. Sometime later, Goku arrives on Vampa to provide Chi-Lai and Limo with supplies while expressing his intent to spar with Broly and to help teach him to control his power. Formally introduced.
House. Just add water.
Yes. We'll get to that. Formally introducing himself before leaving, Goku tells Broly to call him Kakarot, which means nothing in this movie.
I want to destroy universe because this little baby made me cry when I was a baby.
That's the wrong one.
I know. Getting into the trivia for this. This movie is based on events from the movie Dragon Ball Z, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, and the manga Dragon Ball Minus, which was released as part of Jocko the Galactic Patrolman. It's like the last chapter in here for some reason.
Why is it called Dragon Ball Minus?
Because it takes place before Dragon Ball.
Oh.
That's why it's called Dragon Ball Minus.
Okay.
But Dragon Ball Minus...
I have no excuse to say that because, well, Godzilla -1. Anyway.
Actually, -1 makes more sense than this.
Yeah,
but anyway, Dragon Ball Minus itself is based on Dragon Ball Z Bardock, the TV special Dragon Ball Z Bardock, the father of Goku, which was canon up until this movie until the manga replaced it. I think I just confused Nick.
You just broke
I need a flow chart for this.
Oh, you think it's bad now? I went down a rabbit hole because of this. Because this movie causes granted, Dragon Ball canon is loose by nature, but there is actually a continuity mistake in the manga because of this movie. Because Dragon Ball Bardock the Father Goku was a TV special that was released in the middle of the Ginyu saga on Namek. It came out then. It was something that Akira Toriyama was never going to draw because it was too much of a sad story. It was just not something Akira Toriyama wanted to do. But he liked the movie, the special so much. In the next chapter, when Frieza is seeing Goku for the first time, the next one he wrote, he sees Goku for the first time, he recognizes that he looks like Bardock, and there is a drawing of Bardock behind Goku with the red bloody bandana from that special, which he's missing in this movie because his friend didn't die in this movie. He shows up. All of Bardock's force is in the background shots of this film, but they don't die from Midoriya killing them.
Yet another flimsy justification for me being here representing HPV3 cameo from Ginyu Force.
Yes. The milk the Ginyu Toku Sentai, aka Milk Special Forces.
Milk Special Forces?
Ginyu is the Japanese word for milk.
Oh.
That's why the entire Ginyu Force is named after milk products.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Raccoon
You know,
comes from the Japanese pronunciation
never-
of cream.
Oh.
Yeah, I will never forget there was a high school kid working at the restaurant I was working at the time who didn't get the memo that you're not supposed to take anything Dragon Ball that seriously because he took it deathly seriously. And then when I started telling him that all of the characters' names are puns,
Yes.
and then explained how they were puns,
I
blew
find it
his
hilarious.
mind and he started rethinking his Dragon Ball fandom.
Oh, no.
Rethinking your Dragon Ball fandom if you continually approach it as this is the greatest action series of all time, to realizing it's a great action comedy that you just need to enjoy for the fun of it is not a bad redecision. Anyway.
No, I mean, like, he was considering just dropping the fandom because, like, I don't think I can like this anymore. And I'm like, because it's funny?
Because I mean,
unintentionally.
Have you not noticed all the jokes? And granted, you watch the English version and all the naughty jokes are knocked out of it, but because Roshi is Roshi.
That is true.
Anyway, Broly and Frieza have more screen time in this film than Goku does.
True.
Yes. Well, that's because the first half of this movie is
Goku's not even born yet.
No, he's not.
except for the 5 seconds he's in the pod. But in this film, Broly bears 2 significant marks on his body: a scar on the upper left of his abs and a giant cross-shaped scar on his left pec. These are references to his defeat in his previous appearances, because that's where Goku struck him in both Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan and where his heart exploded out of his chest in Dragon Ball Z Broly's Second Coming.
It's a good nod.
Okay, that's kind of clever.
It's meant to be a nod more than anything else. I'm assuming Ba got him there in reality. Ba. When Akira Toriyama... When Akira Toriyama began...
Black sheep.
Y'all just love interrupting me, don't you?
Yes, we do. You're welcome.
When Akira Toriyama began to write the series Dragon Ball Super, he was reluctant about adding the character Broly to the franchise. Instead, he wrote a character named Kale, who was a Saiyan from the 6th universe, the one that Beerus's brother is actually the god of destruction for. Who is also Saiyan in an homage to Broly. However, and when she goes Super Saiyan, she actually goes Legendary Super Saiyan with the green hair and everything. However, one of the series producers in early 2017 convinced him to add Broly into the series, so he wrote a new story for Broly and drew a new design, so this version could be different from the original films.
Smart move.
Very.
This is the first time in all of the franchise, including the non-canon films, that Vegeta is not humiliated or beaten. In fact, he gives Broly a more difficult fight than Goku early on. This is the first Dragon Ball film not to focus on Goku or someone related to him.
Thankfully.
What, a Star Wars movie without Skywalkers?
How can you do that?
Blasphemy!
This is, in the Japanese version, this is Aya Hisakawa's debut as the voice of Bulma, who took over for Hiromi Tsuru after her death in November of 2017.
Aw.
This is the final time that Vic Mignogna will performed Broly, due to being dismissed for allegations of sexual harassment that surfaced during the Me Too movement.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a whole debacle. But from what I've been able to gather, it was more talk than anything else.
But he did lose like every single one of his countersuits, unfortunately. And he has been blacklisted by the voice acting industry, which surprisingly really hasn't slowed down the amount of roles from when I looked at his IMDb.
No, he's still getting roles, but all the really big ones he no longer has.
Right. This is also the final time that Christopher Ayers voices Frieza due to him passing away from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. He had been performing the character of Frieza from episode 19 of Dragon Ball Z Kai, taking over the role from previous actress Linda Young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because they decided
I
that
forgot
Frieza
about
should actually
that.
be voiced by a man.
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say I forgot that Frieza actually used to be voiced by a woman, which
Yeah.
fun
Which
fact.
is why everyone thought she was a woman.
Yeah. Which
He was a
fun
woman.
fact in Japan, Goku's voiced by a woman.
Goku has been voiced by the same actress who has voiced him since he was a 12-year-old. And she voices every single member of his family except for Raditz. Because she's also the voice of Bardock, Gohan, and Goten.
She was making bank off of this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When she eventually passes, because she is in her 80s, I don't know how they're going to recast the role of Goku. Because, even though Akira Toriyama's passed, they're going to make a new anime at some point.
So this begs the question: is she still screaming that loud at 80 years old? Or are they
I would
using
love to
stock
know that
screams?
myself.
That would be interesting.
Or did they?
I'm really
when
hoping.
she was like 60 and the voice is
I'm-
starting to go, did they like, okay, just record some screams now. We'll keep them on file.
I'm really hoping back in the 80s when they were recording Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, they just happened to have a lot of good, clean takes that they kept preserved.
And they
Because-
just update him HD
Oh
and
crap!
just like boom. there we go.
88. Someone in the
And
chat
wow.
just put in an 88.
Miles an hour?
Yes,
Not quite.
She is going. She is
But
traveling through
she's-
time.
Yes.
But she's also like the voice of Doraemon, the blue cat robot thing.
You know,
in
I
one of the
ju-
other
it-
shows.
It just dawned on me that would have been a
right, Mom.
hilarious joke to do if he did like a mini sequel to Back to the Future on Doc's 88th birthday. He magically travels through time.
that would just be
That would be
funny and
interesting.
stupid at the exact same time.
So that was the end of my trivia. So it's time to
Where are
start
the
rating
puns?
this thing. So,
Where are the puns?
oh yeah, I will go ahead and do the puns. I didn't forget really. So Broly's
Sounds like you
name comes from broccoli, which they even make that joke in this film. Fun fact: my co-host here hates broccoli.
Never been a fan of it. Now, Grant, be like, if it's raw, I'll eat it. Cooked, well, I can't get this past the smell. My wife loves broccoli. The woman will eat broccoli with every dinner. Every dinner. Probably every lunch.
Mealtime must be interesting in your house.
It is. It's
I
like,
was just
ooh,
over there
broccoli.
for
It's like,
mealtime.
ugh.
Yes, it was.
She like we had pizza for tonight, and so literally she was like, they have broccoli on pizza, right? And be like, I'm not surprised. Be like,
I
if
mean,
you
they
do it,
put
it's
this-
fine. I won't touch it.
They
But
put disgusting stuff like spinach on pizza that doesn't make it good.
or pineapple. Ugh.
You're just saying that because Roy's in the audience.
No, because I don't like pineapple on pizza. That is the
Rob
most
Roy?
bizarre, awkward.
Anyway,
Yes, that.
Paragus's name comes from asparagus.
Which I swear they actually called him asparagus once. That's when it dawned on me. He's like, wait, is his
Wouldn't
name literally
surprise me.
asparagus?
Jine is a type of wild onion. It comes from a type of wild onion in Japan. And Bardock is based off of the Bardock root, if I remember correctly. Because that's the thing about Goku's family is they're all root vegetables. Because Raditz is radish. and
Except for
Kakarot is carrot.
Goku. Except for Goku himself, because he's Son Goku from Journey
But
to the
his
West.
Saiyan name is Kakarot,
because he's a
which is
carrot.
carrot.
Yeah.
Because he's orange and has poofy hair.
Mhm.
That is why he's named Carrot, by the way. Who have I missed? Berry, of course.
Berry Blue. yeah.
Berry Blue is blueberries. I don't think they really mentioned any other Frieza Force names.
Oh well,
No.
King Cold was
Oh,
what
King-
makes
yeah,
a
but
cameo.
he's new for this, so yeah, he is based off Cold because all of the Frieza species is
Mhm.
Frieza
Because
species.
because Frieza also had a brother named
Freezer.
Cooler.
Yes, he does have a brother who is cooler than Frieza.
No, from like Dragon Ball Operations, like cooler. It's Frieza. No, cooler.
Frieza with an I.
Yeah, Frieza with an eye.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I need
I
to
kept
mention.
thinking like
a
one
name.
of the new characters. I'm like, is it like
there is one I do need to mention and she's only in the film for like 2 seconds. And that is Vegeta and Bulma's daughter, Bulla.
Bula. Okay.
yes, I know what their deal is.
Then what is Bula then?
Yes, tell us.
I don't know about
Yes.
Bula, but I do know that everybody in that family is named after undergarments.
Bulla is the name Funimation went with because if they used the actual pronunciation of the name, it might not work well on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Because in Japanese, it's pronounced Bura
Bula.
or Bra.
Bra.
Yeah, because all they're all named after
Bulma's family is
undergarments.
named after underwear.
Yeah,
Bra,
trunks.
Bra.
And
Yes.
Bulma is like some sort of like
Bloomers.
bloomers. Yeah. I was trying to remember where that came from.
Yeah.
So
Doctor Briefs.
Dr.
Her mother's
Briefs,
name is Panty.
Yeah, well, didn't you guys mention another one where another member of their family named Tights?
Yes, that is Bulma's sister
named
who
Tights.
first showed up in Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman. Actually, she was in Resurrection F for like a second also. But then she showed up in Dragon Ball Super because she wasn't credited till right before Super started.
Yeah, but no, I was trying to think. I think one of the new characters was named like what is it, Chile or something?
Yeah, Chile or
I thought
Chile.
I was like,
Chile.
key
It's
lime?
Chile, which is based on the chili pepper.
Yes.
Oh, chili
And
pepper.
I-
I thought it was
and I
like key
couldn't-
lime or something like that.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out what limo was because it wasn't listed in any of my stuff.
Probably lime.
Probably. Because it might actually. You're right. It probably is actually Chile is probably lemon because that would make more sense with the lime thing. And and nearly none of the non-Saiyan members of the Frieza Force are fruits since all the Saiyans were vegetables.
Makes sense.
Anyway, I think that's all the puns. So Nate, since you are our guest, what is your first like for this film?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I was not expecting the first probably like 30, 40 minutes of this movie to be like a throwback to epic science fantasy because it felt very Krypton and Dune.
It did.
And I kind of loved it.
There's good reasons for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the parallels have been drawn between Goku and Superman for years at this point.
Then you make the parallel between.
I did kind of think it was funny. It seemed like they were kind of intentionally mimicking that.
Knowing Toriyama, it was because Toriyama did have in his other hit manga that predates Dragon Ball, did have a character that was a parody of Superman in it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like in this movie, it's when we're on planet Vegeta and we're seeing just how grand a civilization that they have and how advanced their technology is, and we get to see what their family life is like, how they bear children and all of these things, and then putting Goku in a pod and sending him off and like all of this, building an empire. I was like, yeah, I'm getting Superman and Dune vibes here, and I'm really liking it for that. I was not expecting this to be something of a space opera starting off. I honestly thought it was just going to be Broly shows up and starts tearing things up, and that's about all you're. I was not expecting there to be this much story, in a Dragon Ball product.
That's been the nice thing about the post Dragon Ball Evolution movies, and that is the fact that because Akira Toriyama is actually doing work on it, and in the case of these two films, actually having written the last two films, actually having written the stories that it's based on, or that it's actually involved with the films, it's actually well written, unlike most of the past Dragon Ball Z films
that were
designed to be a thrill for kids in theaters before the Godzilla film came on.
But yeah, I was surprised by the amount of world building that was in this, and no, Dallas, I have seen the original Broly movie. Shut up.
Just not Bio Broly.
Just not Bio Broly. Anyway.
Admittedly, I have yet to see Second Coming or Bio Broly.
I saw Second Coming. I know. I saw all three of them. It was like, man, these are bad.
They get steadily worse. From what I understand. But anyway, I'm being distracted by the chat. Like I said, the sci-fi fan and sci-fi writer in me really appreciated all of this grand, all this grand world building that we were seeing in here. And to be honest, I almost wish the whole movie could have been like that. As nuts as and very traditionally Dragon Ball Z it gets, in the last like 30 minutes of this, I'm like, can I have more of the space opera? All the spaceships and the conquests and the nuking of planets and all of this cool stuff, because like I can live here. Okay, I can live here. I want more of Bardock and his wife, because that was weirdly endearing. Again, I was watching this and I'm thinking, it's like, I'm getting pathos in a Dragon Ball movie. What?
You mean they actually wrote this film?
Yeah,
and not just put a thinly veiled excuse for the giant fight that takes up the last hour?
I was just shocked. It's just, I mean, I know I've been listening to your episodes, and I know you guys have been saying that, oh yeah, these last two have had a more story in it than you would expect. And I'm like, can't be that much. And then I watched this, I'm like, well, there's a script.
In all fairness, this has the better story of the ones we've seen so far.
Incredible. Well, yeah. And not only that, but like the voice acting has stepped up, and and they're like, they're actually have actors who are putting actual effort into this.
That change happened when they started dubbing Dragon Ball Z Kai, because the goal for Dragon Ball Z Kai for the English stuff was to actually provide a better adaptation of closer to the manga dub than the original Dragon Ball Z dub was. And by this time, the actors had experience. So, and unlike when Dragon Ball Z first aired and Sean Schemmel is acting for the first time.
Yes. Right. So basically what I guess to kind of summarize it all, I appreciated the caliber of writing I was getting in this, in terms of the character beats, the performances, and especially the world building. Cause like I could have stayed in that, like I said, that first 40 minutes or so, and I would have been very happy.
Agreed.
Like if the whole movie had just been about Broly and Daddy surviving on a pseudo Arrakis, I would have been happy.
Fair.
Especially with Sandworm Cat Snake, whatever that was.
Yes. Ba.
Yeah. I'm sticking with Sandworm Cat. I'm sticking with Sandworm Cat Snake, because that'll be the name of my new anime inspired metal band.
Okay. Jacob, what is your first like for this film?
You got me a cat snake.
Sandworm cat snake.
Sandworm cat snake.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we might have just found our subtitle for this episode.
Sandworm cat snake.
Yes, that works. Like, flip it, done. That's the title. Remember that.
I'm
just clip that little section out and put it up on like Facebook Reels, because TikTok is dying in 2 days. And
at least the US version is. Okay, so pardon the I lost it over the title of this show now, or title of this episode. But I do agree with you, Nate. The backstory world building is incredible, because you have so much of, you take Battle of Gods and you take Resurrection F, where they slowly start to make more and more story. They start to build a little more backstory to it. Like with Resurrection F, they got more of like Frieza, what was he doing and what his condition was in hell, or in Earth hell.
He's being sung to by Mamoru Clover Z.
I was gonna say, this is by the way, this is nowhere close to a hot take. Frieza, best Dragon Ball Z villain. I will accept no arguments.
That is completely fair.
There's a reason they brought him back.
Yes.
I mean, Toriyama wanted to end the manga after the Frieza saga.
Yes, he did.
Shonen Jump is like, you can't do that. This makes us too much money.
Toriyama tried to end that manga 5 times.
He did,
and they wouldn't let him.
What was it? He tried to end it with, like, in Dragon Ball.
He tried to end it twice in Dragon Ball, because technically it was originally supposed to be a 12-issue arc that would have ended with the end of the Pilaf saga.
Yeah.
But it ended up continuing on until, and then he tried to end it like with, if I remember correctly, it was after Demon King Piccolo.
That makes sense.
But he had to come up with a reason to keep it going again. So
Yes.
and then at the end of the Saiyan saga, the Frieza saga,
Mhm.
and then again at the end of the Android saga, or Cell saga, if you prefer.
Yeah, it was a never, and he's like, be like, this is it, I'm done. And everyone's be like, hey, be like, make more. Here's more money. Okay, fine, I'll make more. Either or, like I'm getting to the point where Nate was going for the world building, the incredible backstory they're doing with this is absolutely just amazing to watch. They're gonna, like you said, Nate, be like, I could have watched another 40 minutes of that.
I was gonna say, like, the first 40 minutes of this is a completely different movie.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
That was what got. I was not expecting it to be this. Like, I went into it with perhaps not only low expectations but the wrong expectations, and then I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just this movie, it takes what had been built up previously in the legend of, even we use the Star Wars legend or legend canon
Legacy.
Thank you, that's what I'm looking for. Legacy of Dragon Ball. Because it'd be like, you have Bardock, you have the original Broly movie, and be like, how do you marry these two things into one film? And how they brought Frieza back in the last film, and how he was in Super, and how you marry all of that stuff together. It's just a beautiful mix of just like incredible storytelling and weaving, and just like you said, world building. Incredible. I was like, couldn't they done that in Battle of Gods? Like done something like that, but I think they were more like, oh, this is a fighting movie. To this point, it's like, okay, we're gonna tell some story. We're gonna tell some really good storytelling. Definitely when you get to Broly's that where he is exiled from Vegeta, where the destruction of Vegeta, to Kakarot's escape from Vegeta.
Yes.
Oh, I thought
Am
he
I
said
saying that right? Vegeta.
Vegeta, like
Vegeta, as in vegetable.
Vegeta. Sorry,
his name is a pun on vegetables.
Yes, I'm aware.
Including the planet.
Vegeta.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
For some reason, I
like
was
it's like Fragile. Fragile? What?
Sorry, for some reason I always say Vegeta instead of Vegeta. I don't know why.
Which sounds dangerously close to fajita.
Yes. There was a tweet, I believe, that the Dragon Ball Z abridged actor for Vegeta said, "One day I'm going to open up a restaurant called Planet Fajita, but it'll probably get burned down by a faulty freezer."
Yes.
Yes. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on the air before, but now Dallas wants fajitas. I'll leave it at this, and maybe someday, or maybe some other time, I'll talk about it.
Dallas, it is Fajita Friday.
It is, but one time I had some nerdy coworkers back when I worked at a restaurant, and we got so bored one day that we gave everybody Dragon Ball nicknames, and then decided that and then concocted an entire thing where all the Dragon Ball characters worked at a restaurant run by Vegeta, and it was called Vegeta's Fajitas.
Nice.
Nice. So the escape from Planet Vegeta, you like correct myself. Yeah, Vegeta. Like, sorry, be like, sometimes the words get a little lazy. You just be like Vegeta.
Either way.
Either or. Like, this is a podcast where we have fun and missay everything.
Anna, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So be like, I agree with Nate. The world building and the background and the interaction. Be like the fact that we never got to meet Kakarot, Goku's mother before, and we get to meet her in this movie very shortly. But the relationship between her and Bardock is be like, again, give me 45 minutes more of that.
I will say this. She says, like, "Oh, Bardock, our son has your hair," and I'm like, "And I think he got your personality, Missy."
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
You do know the reason why this was the first time we ever met Goku's mom, or for that matter, any female Saiyan.
Why is that?
Akira Toriyama couldn't figure out how to draw him.
Oh, that makes sense.
I'm
It
not
took him
kidding. That's
40
the actual
years
reason.
to figure out how to draw Lady Saiyans.
I don't think he actually is the one who actually drew this, considering by this point the art's being done by a different guy.
True.
Who's just mimicking the art very well, because Akira Toriyama's drawing hand is not very good.
Is
It
it
wasn't,
just
wasn't very good at this time.
Is it just that he couldn't figure out how to draw female Saiyans? Because
He
he got
couldn't
plenty
make
of
a
female characters.
He couldn't make a decision how to draw female Saiyans.
Okay.
That makes sense.
He knew how to draw women. Don't get me wrong. He just couldn't figure out how to draw
Bulma?
muscular
Anybody?
women where they looked right. So
Yeah,
Somebody figured it out.
somebody did. Either or, mine is the world building and background of this wonderful film.
By the way, we're doing 2 each, right?
yes, we are doing 2 each.
2 each.
So my first like for this film kind of is the same as y'all's. Good night. There's actually story in this.
Yes.
Because when I approached this, like I said, in 2019, January of 2019, I went into this movie thinking, oh, it's Broly. This is just going to be a stupid action flick with barely any fighting. You'd think I'd know better because I'd seen Resurrection F.
Mhm.
I'd seen Battle of Gods. I knew they actually were putting decent story into these things.
Here's the thing, and I could have counted this as a like, but I'll just say this very quickly. This fixes my biggest problem with Dragon Ball. There's no stupid fluff in these fights. It's just nuts.
No, just go.
No, you want to breathe? You don't get to breathe.
This is why I still want them to remake this whole series with no filler in it whatsoever. Because even Dragon Ball Z Kai had to have filler because they were just editing together episodes of Dragon Ball Z and they couldn't edit some stuff out. But no, Geek Devotions, what I was expecting Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan. I was expecting 30 minutes of paper thin plot enough to give it a decent excuse for the big fight at the end. Because that's what most Dragon Ball Z films are. Like I said, I should have known better because I'd seen Battle of Gods and I'd seen Resurrection F. And even though there's still bits of it still being, here's a story for an excuse for the big fight at the end, because that's just what a Dragon Ball film is at this point. They actually put in a lot of extra work to make it a decent story. So yeah, the world building and story for this are just so good. And it's not until like halfway through the film that we even see Goku and Vegeta, that we're even back to the present. They could have easily had all this in flashback scenes, and yet they did it at the beginning. It's like, here's the story you need to know. And we're going to take the good parts of Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan. We're going to take this manga that Akira Toriyama made based off of the original Bardock, the father of Goku, and we're going to marry this together into a good space epic to actually show the full breadth and destruction of planet Vegeta and how Broly and all his and Paragus survived. And even we're going to show you Nappa and Vegeta and Raditz and apparently 2 other Saiyans who must have died before Dragon Ball Z started. Mm-hmm. And we're going to show you all these people. I think the only person we missed was Cooler, and then he's not canon anyway. So yeah, I just love how we got this. One of the most important moments in Dragon Ball history gets so much love, and they even bring in the Broly stuff to make it actually fit as a cohesive start. And that's before you get to the 45-minute fight at the end. I say 45-minute fight. It's not really 45 minutes, but
it did feel a little long.
Like you said, there are 2 movies in this movie.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my first like for this film, is the fact that there's cohesive story in this and it's epic to watch. And I'm glad I got to see this in the theater. The only thing I miss is I didn't get to see it with like 50 other people in the theater at the same time.
Which would have been all the DBZ fans in your neighborhood.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Well, your entire city, probably.
And Tyler, which is half hour north of us. But
I know of one, and his entire family would have been there. Because I remember him saying, it's like, oh yeah, we went saw in the theater. They were like, it was a big family thing because he's a huge otaku.
Because I caught Battle of Gods and Resurrection F in that first weekend. I had those experiences with those films. I just didn't get it with the last 2 films. So
fair.
Yeah, Nate, what's your second like?
This, it's kind of related to the first one, but oh Lord, is this origin for Broly infinitely better than the original?
Oh, yes!
Oh my gosh.
Frick, because that was the thing. I was presented with the original movie by a friend of mine who's like, "Oh, I really want to show you this. I know you're, you haven't seen like all of Dragon Ball Z or whatever, but I want to show you this because he had this strange, I thought, appreciation, almost bordering almost on man crush of Broly, and he showed it to me.
His power is
and
maximum.
I'm like, really? His motivation was Goku cried a lot when they were in the hospital together, and that's why he's angry and wants to murder him 3 ways from Sunday. What? I'm like, even by Dragon Ball standards, that's pretty stupid. And even my friend admitted it was stupid, but he thought everything else was just the most BA thing ever. I'm like, sure, dude, sure. And then he showed me the second one. I'm like, this one's not as good. Yeah, it's the kids fighting Broly, and I'm like, really? You want me to buy that the kids are gonna beat him when Dad could barely do it? Whatever.
Well,
Whatever on that.
Gohan,
So we get to this one, and I'm like,
Zenkai boost. But anyway,
yeah. But then you get to this one, and I'm like, okay, there's some similar beats here, but we're not doing the stupid crying in the hospital bit. We're actually giving Broly believable motivations for why he's doing this. It's so much more compelling than what we got before. I don't even remember much of Broly's backstory beyond Goku crying in the hospital.
basically it's what you saw in this, because
was it his dad manipulating him in the original? Because it's been too long.
In the original, because I did actually go back and watch Broly, the Legendary Super Saiyan, for this review for the fun of it anyway, because I could. In the original, he was just like in the original. He was in the nursery and King Vegeta didn't like him because he had a bigger power level than Broly had a bigger power level than Prince Vegeta. So he was going to kill him, and he did try to stab baby Broly with a dagger, but it broke. And so they dumped him in a pit with his father, who had been kind of beaten to a pulp because Paragus was a weakling in that original movie, pretty much. And then and all this was happening like the same weekend that Frieza was blowing up planet Vegeta. So as the big explosion is taking over the planet, Broly somehow heals himself enough that he's able to rise, and he takes his father with him, and they go off to some planet, and then they go blow up the galaxy.
It's the sort of thing when I was watching it, I couldn't figure out. I was confused by it, because on one hand, I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Is it a parody? Because this almost feels like a Dragon Ball parody. When your motivation is, you cried in the hospital and I couldn't sleep, I hate you. And I was like, the heck? I mean, Beerus wants pudding, but at least that's played for laughs, and it's being played for laughs. But with that one, I couldn't figure it out, because it's like, this is a stupid backstory, but we're going out of our way to make to make Broly overly BA. Like comically BA. Then you get to this one, and everything feels justified.
Yeah. It actually makes sense from a story standpoint.
Yeah, and we dropped the really silly stuff.
Like I said, they took the good parts.
We are totally consistent. Finally,
yeah, they took the good parts of Broly's story and left out all the stupid stuff because everyone agreed was stupid.
I recall like watching Legendary Super Saiyan for this review, and I'm like, you know what? Like, the beginning of the movie's not bad because they're starting to build things up the whole bit. Is okay. We're going the new Vegeta. Planet Vegeta. And this whole, Paragus is, plan the whole enchilada, and in nice.
We have just created a new villain for Dragon Ball. I am Lord Enchilada.
But like you said, once they spill the beans, as it will, it's like, oh, this is the whole reason why we're here. This is the whole reason why Broly is so mad at Kakarot. This is the whole reason he's destroyed this guy's like, what? This is the worst story ever. So yeah, I agree. It is dumber than a brick. And they took all the good parts from that movie and made Super Broly a fantastic and epic film.
Yeah, because see, my theory is that those original movies were made without the involvement of Toriyama, and then
Pretty
he saw
much.
them, and then
Well-
he saw them, and they're like, the reason why he didn't want to bring Broly back is because he thought to himself, Broly's stupid. And,
So I did some reading on why the original Dragon Ball films were made the way they were, and basically they were for, it wasn't the Champion Film Festival in Japan, but it was something similar to that, where it was
probably
essentially
like the Toei festival, 'cause
whatever
does-
Toei's version of that would
Yeah.
be, and basically they were
well, the Champion Film
movies.
Festival had stuff from all the
Right.
studios, but
Toei
does their own
That
now.
was what I made the connection to in my mind when I did the research.
yeah. By the way, for
was
those
that
who
one.
don't know, the Champion Film Festival was something that happened for years in Japan, where all the major studios would
Mhm.
send movies or compilations of television shows to be played in theaters when kids got their summer break at school, so they would have something to
Yeah.
do. Oh no, excuse me, it was right at the end of
Mhm.
their big break from school, so it's like their last hurrah before they have to start
Right, and
school
this
again.
I don't know if this was for that in the 90s, because Broly was 92 when it came out. I think it was 92, may have been 96. Anyway, I think it was 92 now, the more I think about it, but that doesn't matter. But it's whatever Toei's version of that was, and essentially it was just an excuse to get kids in theaters, and so there was no intention of trying to even make these things canon, and it was just like, and so most of the films are basically, we'll take an idea from this, but we'll do our own thing, because it's Toei doing stuff. Toriyama had nothing to do with it. He considered them an entirely alternate universe. He didn't really pay attention to them, because as far as he was concerned, the manga was the story. He didn't even watch, he didn't even talk about the anime itself. But after Dragon Ball Evolution happened, just leave it there, he got back involved with it because he wanted to show everyone how it's done.
Is Dragon Ball Evolution out of the purview of Within Reason?
Dragon Ball Evolution is on reserve, assuming a certain other podcast will get me on it for that movie. And that other podcast may be hanging out in the chat right now.
Oh, I thought you were.
People
I
in
thought
it.
you were threatening to.
No,
to
not you.
sponsor it for
Not
my
you.
show.
No, I've got other fun stuff for you.
Oh,
when I've used up all the current stuff I've paid for.
yeah. This is just. I have a feeling our patronages for each other's shows is just going to turn it into a never-ending string of revenge.
No, I've got some actual good stuff.
Yeah,
Some
anyway.
good stuff, not revenge stuff.
Yeah,
in the
anyway.
works, but
Terrible revenge things. Yeah, but anyway.
yes, no, that's not. I'm not talking revenge. I actually have some stuff you would be interested in. But
I know.
get-
I'm just
We'll get
giving a
there
hard
when we
time.
get there.
I'm
Exactly.
completely derailing everything because that's what I
Either
do.
way, yeah. But Dragon Ball Evolution
The
was
chat
what
says 93, by the way.
I knew it was somewhere around that. Geek Devotions. We will talk when you get me onto that episode as to what Dragon Ball Evolution is.
It's going to be on the bottom shelf.
That's what I wanted on.
I guess we all know. You just want to do that because you want to make it cease to exist. Because I know how the rules of that podcast work.
Here is my promise, both to you and to the guys on the bottom shelf. Well, the bottom shelf podcast. They're not on the bottom shelf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will first review that film as a standalone martial arts film with no connection to Dragon Ball before I run that thing into the ground for how bad it's a bad adaptation to Dragon Ball.
Anyway.
Retro says we should be covering it on the Gundam Watch. Anyway. What? That wouldn't even make sense.
No, absolutely not.
That's where you do G Gundam. Which is just Dragon Ball Z and Max. So
It really is.
and no filler. But back to what I was. We are on my like, I think.
Yes, we're on your like.
My second like for this thing is
Wait, did Jacob?
No,
you
I
finish yours?
didn't.
Sorry, you
No.
finish yours, then I'll do mine.
Okay, so
I was like, did he just agree with me? And that was his second
No,
line?
you had more to it.
that was my
That you had more to say your second line.
I thought he said something else.
I'm
Never
the
mind.
great ape in the middle. Stop it.
You heard it here, folks. First, Nate is the mighty Ozaru. Anyway,
Okay, my second like for this film is in the middle of this massive fight between Broly, Goku, Vegeta. Is the point where Goku gets has an epiphany. Oh, there's his name escapes me for the second. The green guy,
Piccolo.
Piccolo. Yeah,
Because
Piccolo.
he's a pickle.
Yes, I'm where he's a pickle.
that is not where the name comes from.
What? I know
What?
his name is a
Hold
pun
on,
on
he's
a
It's not
pickle.
called Piccolo because of the name pun with a pickle.
Then what is it?
The instrument called a piccolo.
Oh.
That's why the other quote unquote children of Demon King Piccolo were tambourine, cymbal, drum, and I can't remember what the fourth one was.
Oh, okay. Piccolo.
I have thought it was pickle all these
That's
years.
No, it's not. It is literally named after the musical instrument.
It just makes sense. It's a pickle. But okay,
It's not.
Piccolo. Okay, that makes sense. Now it makes sense.
I
Okay,
am
either or.
shamed.
So
Where's my
my-
wallet? I need to turn in my Otaku card.
Hey, in your defense, Nate, nobody watches Dragon Ball. They all start at Z.
That's true.
Which they shouldn't. I actually would like to go back and watch Dragon Ball because it was like remarkably
I'm
grounded by
going
comparison.
to be honest with you, Nate. Read the manga. It plays faster than the anime does.
I'm sure that
There's only
the
a
manga.
couple-
I'm sure the manga is just better at pacing in general because
Not by the time it gets to Z.
Mm.
It's about on par with the 5 minutes until the planet blows up. 15 episodes later, it still occurs in the manga.
This planet will explode in 2 minutes. This planet will explode in 1 minute, sir. It's been like 30.
Do you know watch? I don't think you know how minutes work.
Didn't you call it Frieza time? I think
Yes, Frieza time. Frieza minutes.
Frieza minute.
I got that from something else too, by the way. I think I may have got that from that video I sent you, so you could go through all of Dragon Ball in 5 minutes.
Talking about Frieza minutes.
Yes.
Frieza minutes.
Frieza minutes. So
Yeah.
my
So
second,
5 episodes later, the planet's going to explode in 10 seconds.
yes,
Yes.
3 episodes later, finally does explode.
15 episodes later. I once watched a YouTube video where they took all the time between when Frieza says the planets will blow up in 5 minutes and when the planet blows up, and they compressed that down to 5 minutes all the time there, and you were talking so fast you couldn't understand what they were saying.
That is brilliant.
That is brilliant. All right, so my second like is when planet or oh, hold on, I completely lost where I was going.
Bomba?
No, not Bomba.
Vegeta?
No,
Namek?
let me talk.
I'm just going to start naming yard rats.
When
Razzmatazz.
when Frieza
Frieza Planet
Frieza-
419. When NASA. I'm
That's
just start naming
Mr.
Dragon Ball planets.
Hey. Here's an obvious joke. That's Mr. Frieza to you.
That's so obvious. We used it for the album art last week.
when Frieza gets
No, just
pounded by
don't
Broly.
don't
I
tempt
love
me
it,
to
I love
start.
it.
Don't tempt me to start doing Frieza lines in a Schwarzenegger voice. This planet will explode in 5 minutes. Yeah.
Oh man.
You stupid monkey.
Oh, Jiminy Crickets on a pogo stick. Fly me to the frickin' moon.
Oh, my favorite. My
I
favorite.
think I just spirit bombed this entire podcast.
You did.
Right?
Jam. Second life. Please finish it.
Frieza getting pounded by Broly when Goku, he's like, here, tag, you're it. It's just like, oh my gosh, that was hilarious. It's like, okay, we got the fusion dance from Piccolo. Oh yeah, here, Frieza, tag in, you're it. It's like, what? It's love it. Makes mincemeat out of Frieza. I love it. Like even in his golden form, it just it's like, oh my gosh, I love it. It was like, yes, sweet revenge against that stupid little Frieza.
Drew, can you like clip that out and send it to Toei for the sound effects for the next Dragon Ball movie?
Forget that. That's going to be a clip. That's going on our YouTube Shorts channel that I need to desperately make.
That and Schwartz and Frieza.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna have work after this.
I gotta let Jacob breathe a minute.
Me without my inhaler.
You know that part, the part of the movie where, what is it, Death Ball or whatever it's called? It's like it's Frieza's version of the Spirit Bomb. I just did that to this podcast.
I know it's got a name. I have no idea what it is.
Oh my
I know
gosh.
when he does this, it's like Death Beam, you know. Death Beam.
Oh, three veiners.
Yeah, that was a 3 vein. That was close to a fourth.
Yes.
Fourth
Oh my
veiner.
gosh. So yes, my favorite part is where for Prince or Prince or
Prince Vegeta,
not Prince Vegeta,
King.
Broly, Frieza,
No. Frieza,
Gogeta.
go Gogeta.
Go Tanks.
Go Tanks wasn't in this.
No, he wasn't. But when Frieza gets his butt handed to him by Broly, it just makes him into a freaking gold pancake. And I love it every single second. It's on frame. And Goku and Vegeta are like, Vegeta, are like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. And it's okay, fine. And they take like 30, what was it, like an hour in time, and within the time frame of the story, and Frieza's getting pounded. He's like, "Oh yeah, I am the ultimate." It's great. I love it. Oh my gosh, yes. Frieza pancake. Anybody served up by Broly? You're welcome.
Someday I will make an anime parody character with an attack called Crater Maker.
That is my second like.
Okay. My second like for this film, if y'all will remember, last week I had a Brandmaster come up.
Yes, you did.
Where I talked about how Vegeta and Goku never learned anything in the film.
Nice visor, by the way.
Yes.
I'm getting.
That's a nice
I'm having
forge.
PTSD flashbacks to the last Titanic episode we did.
Except we actually like this film.
Yes.
I know, but still, all the yelling and the screaming. I mean,
I
it's
think
Dragon
that's
Ball,
just
so
what
I guess
happens
you
when the
have
three
to.
are together.
Yeah, that is true.
No, I also think it's like it's appropriate that there's lots of screaming because it's the Dragon Ball movie. Half the
Dragon Ball,
dialogue is
of course,
screaming.
Dragon Ball,
It's
yeah.
appropriate.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, last week I complained how they had been they started writing Goku stupider
Yes.
after Dragon Ball Resurrection F, and that they didn't learn their lesson at the end that Goku and Vegeta needed to work together because they didn't want to work together. And I will admit, when I said that, I was thinking in the back of my head, yeah, but in the Goku Black arc, not long after this, they do the whole Potara fusion and they work together that way. Not that it did him any good against Goku Black in his Super Saiyan Rose form. Whatever.
Wait, is that the official name?
Super Saiyan Rose. That is Goku. That is Goku Black with pink hair.
Yes.
Look it up.
No, I know about Goku Black. I'm
Yeah,
also
but when
thinking
Goku
of
Black
the,
goes Super
of the
Saiyan-
honest Honest gaming trailer for Dragon Ball Z Fighters, where they said that you can this game gave you 3 different flavors of Goku, because there's 3 different versions of Goku in it. At the time, they ended up with like 5, but at the time that when the game launched, they had like 3, and I think they called it, what was it, like vanilla, chocolate, and
Strawberry.
And no, it was
Neapolitan Goku.
Neapolitan or something like that, because he was like, or something, because it was all ice cream flavors for all of them. Because Goku, no, Hot Topic, I think that's what they called it, like vanilla, chocolate, and Hot Topic.
So yeah, the official version name of that is Super Saiyan Rose, but it only worked with Goku Black, and the reasons why are way too much to get into right now.
Yes.
But the point
because Dragon Ball Z has a surprisingly thick book of lore, and which doesn't really make sense.
Except when you're watching it, it totally does, which is weird. But I remembered that, but I kind of, as my mind was thinking what I'd seen the Tournament of Power arc, which is the arc right before this in Dragon Ball Super. And I remember, and granted, I still need to finish it, but I remember they didn't work together at all during that. I think that's what was getting to me. And then we get to this one, and Goku and Vegeta have learned their lesson. They're fighting together throughout this. Yes, they start off as one-on-one fights, because that's just what you do in these things. But when it becomes obvious that neither one of them can take on Broly by himself, they actually work together. They fight him together, and then they do the whole fusion dance thing and become Gogeta. And that gives them enough power to actually do some decent damage on him. And the only reason Broly survived was because of a wish on the Dragon Balls, which is a good reason. Geek Devotions, I just mentioned the fusion scene.
Are we going to talk about about the motivations for summoning Shenron?
That's what.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I love that, because that's the only reason Broly survived.
Yes.
I just would like to know how Chilai and Limo
No, I'm talking
knew
about
that.
I'm talking about the 5 joke for summoning Shenron.
We can get to that one if you want to later, or now, or either way.
No, whenever. It's because I was trying to bring it up, and you're like, save it for later. So
you can do it whenever. I don't care.
well, I just admittedly it's funny because both Bulma and Frieza want to summon Shenron, not for obvious wishes, for slight improvements, because they don't want anybody to know.
That's because Bulma and Frieza have more in common than anyone would like to admit.
Yeah. So Frieza wants to be a whopping
vanity.
5 centimeters taller, so no one will notice, but people will notice.
Yeah.
But you do
And
it slowly.
Bulma wants to
It's
be
not
5
too
years
obvious.
younger.
Frieza
because
said the reason was so it would look like he was still growing.
Yes.
Which that's the reason why he said, because he was gonna do 5 centimeters now, and then later on he'd do it another 5 centimeters. And I'm like, you're gonna keep going back to where Goku and Vegeta are ready to kick your butt every year to keep wishing for 5 more centimeters.
Yeah. By the way, 5 centimeters is about 1.5 inches.
I know
it is.
I'm just, in case anyone doesn't know, it's about 1.5 inches. So, okay. And then Bulma wants to look 5 years younger because more would get too much attention.
I just remembered another interesting bit of trivia for this that I failed to mention earlier. With the exception of the Red Ribbon Army and one other, I think Jiro, or the androids that are not Android 7. Yeah, the androids. Every single villain of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z appear in this film at least once in one form or another. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
Most of it's in that one montage.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done derailing this for now.
For the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what I was talking about.
Yes.
They actually are working together in this. It's like, thank you. You have corrected the problems of Resurrection F by making these two goobers work together. Now, granted, it helps they're the only two Z fighters. Them two and Piccolo are the only Z fighters in this, so they don't have to focus on anybody else. So they give them time to actually do their whole power escalation, going from a base form to Super Saiyan, to Super Saiyan God, to Super Saiyan Blue. And yeah, this is the first time we actually got to see Vegeta go Super Saiyan God, even though he had to.
I will admit, as strange as it sounds, I would, for the first time in what I think in my entire life, I was actually impressed with pacing in
Yeah.
anything
Mhm.
Dragon Ball because I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is actually escalating kind of nicely.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just love that they corrected all of my issues with Resurrection F in this film. And admittedly, part of that is because nobody else appears in this film. In fact, I think even the Pilaf gang barely appears in this. Are they even in this? I thought they were.
I don't recall if they're actually in this
Dragon
film.
Ball Super cameos.
Well, I mean, I could have, maybe they don't appear in this. I don't remember. It's been a week since I watched the film, but yeah, I loved just how much of the way that fight flowed, and the fact that Goku and Vegeta actually worked together. So yeah, the fight at the end of this is basically my second like. What I'm basically saying is my first like was the first half of the film, and my second like is the second half of the film. So yeah, I like this film for what it is. But now we need to get to dislikes.
Yes.
Nate, what's your first dislike for this film?
I'm trying to find one that's not just some nitpicky things.
Oh, nitpick. Pick all the nits.
I mean, I have ones that aren't nitpicks. I'm just going over and looking, but this might be a bit of a hot take for some people, but so much screaming.
It's Dragon
I know it's part and parcel with Dragon Ball
to the
Z.
whole genie gig.
Yeah, what?
To the whole genie gig.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know it's
partial.
part and parcel with it, but it got to the point where it kind of went through phases like dramatic, annoying. I no longer care. It's because it was happening so much to the point.
Agreed.
Where I'm like, can we have some witty banter, please, guys? Can you stop screaming?
That is the other.
Can you actually talk?
No, Vic Mignogna can't talk. He's got to destroy his vocal cords.
Apparently he does, and it's like, was that like, did someone tell Toriyama, it's like, hey, the dub actor's getting in trouble in America, just write Broly to scream all the time so he doesn't
he didn't get in trouble until like after the film hit theaters, because
I know I'm just trying to make a bad joke.
His thing came, those allegations came between the release of the English film in theaters and the home video release,
right?
Because I remember there being talk on the internet that's like, are they going to redub Broly because of that?
Yeah.
It's like,
but anyway, I kind of got sick of the screaming after a while. I could also talk about, like, there was some inconsistent, some errors I thought in the script, some things that didn't quite make sense, but they were more small things, but the screaming was, was probably the one that out of those potential options that got the most to me. But boy, you're going to have to hit the button for my other one.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, that's why I'm saving it for last.
All right, Jacob, what's your second dislike?
My
first dislike.
Sorry. Hold on. First dislike. My first dislike is the great we did in Resurrection F talk about how the overuse of 3D modeling for the fight scenes was a bit much. They improve on that just excellently. They're like done more to improve that. But there are still moments where it's okay, this looks very off, especially when you have Goku's doing the Kamehameha and Vegeta's Kamehameha.
It's a name of a Hawaiian king.
Yeah. King Kamehameha.
And Vegeta is doing his Gallic gun. Because you have that,
he never shouts it, but
yeah,
his attack, his big beam attack, his equivalent of the Kamehameha is the Gallic gun.
Yes,
I know, but
he never shouted it in this. So,
be like you hear him start to say Gallic gun.
Oh,
but be like you have that they're rotating around the characters, so they have to use 3D modeling, and it still looks a bit funky. So again, this is a nitpick.
Yeah,
at this scene, it'd be like there are other breathtaking moments through the entire thing. It looks seamless. It looks better than its predecessor, but there are still moments where it's like, oh, okay, that drew me out of the film for a second. But yeah, nitpick. You?
My first dislike for this film, they punched each other so hard they went to another dimension. I watched that stupid thing going, what is going on here? Why are we... The last time I saw something like this was when I watched Dragon Ball The Magic Begins, the unlicensed Vietnamese Taiwanese dub movie based on Dragon Ball.
Was it Taiwanese?
It's Taiwanese.
Is it Taiwanese or Thai?
I want to say it was Taiwan was where it was out of.
No, wait. No, I think it's Korean.
No,
because the guy who plays Master Roshi is a Korean actor.
It's been a hot minute. At the same time, this is reminding me of the scene in that where they inexplicably turn into CG characters for no good reason.
That's the one you're threatening me with on the film.
No, I would like to do that as a double feature on the bottom shelf.
Oh,
but I don't get why we had to do that punch to the other dimension thing and then them fighting in that other dimension and coming back. It goes. I know it looks cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, what does this have to do with any of this? It just feels like y'all ran out of budget for drawn backgrounds and but wanted the fight to go on for another couple minutes, and so put a random CG background on there so they could fight for a bit, and then you came back. It's like, I don't get what any of that was actually about, but yeah, I don't like the punch to the other dimension.
Sir, I watch Power Rangers where people get punched into a completely different show.
I'm aware of this. Yes. I've watched those episodes. At the same time, I'm going, but that's not what Dragon Ball does normally.
I know.
Ever. In fact, this is the first time I remember them. The last time we had anything close to a punch to another dimension, they were traveling between universes. 13 different universes. But anyway.
At least this is one of the, maybe I just haven't watched enough, but this is the slickest looking Dragon Ball anything I've ever seen. It's
agreed. Granted, yeah, this is the best 2D animation the show has until you get to Daima. But, which is the new show. But yeah, I don't get what the point of the other dimension fight, the minute or two we're there before we come back to normal. I don't get what that's about, and that's just a little thing that bugs me. So,
Rentmaster activated.
This audio clip owned by Nate Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault. For more information, please go to monsterislandfilmvault.com.
Go ahead. Nate.
Sorry, I keep interrupting the copyright. Okay, Drew, it has been several hot minutes since I've seen the original Broly. You just rewatched it. How did they beat him in that? Remind me.
They punched him in the chest and he blew up.
That's right. Okay. As much as I do think this is the superior movie, at least the original had the courtesy to not resort to a Deus Ex Machina. Because that's what Shenron is in this. I'm sorry. We spend all this time with all of these explosive fight scenes, escalating things nicely, going to all this trouble for our heroes to figure out how to win, and then we just wish him away. What the Henshin? That's what we get. I get it. We're trying to let these two characters actually do something. And okay, we can't just, toy with gathering all the Dragon Balls and not actually summon Shenron. But really? I'm sorry, but most of the time, Deus Ex Machinas don't work. And I was just severely disappointed with this. I was like, I want our heroes to actually win, not just wish him away. God. I know, like I said, that might be a hot take for some people, but I did not like that. I was very disappointed.
Well, it is better than, I can't remember what movie it was. It was where it was primarily like all the kids fighting or like the younger characters. And it was a point where Goku be like, Gohan is in trouble and Goku's in heaven. And he'd be like, and he literally instant transmits himself into the scene with no explanation whatsoever and KOs the character.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I will say this.
Was busy and couldn't do it for him.
I was going to say, I will say this. At least it was set up.
Yes.
Because they were trying to get the Dragon Balls, and there was talk about summoning Shenron and getting wishes. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
all
like
set
it
up.
came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a bad decision because I'm sorry, I don't like stories where our heroes do everything they can to win and then they don't, and then some sort of divine being just shows up and magically fixes everything.
I can see that.
I will have a possible fix for you when I get to my second dislike.
How is a dislike supposed to fix this?
because of your dislike, my dislike couldn't happen. We'll explain. I'll explain when I get there.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just saying, not a fan of Deus Ex Machinas. I prefer my stories where the heroes fix their own dang problems. Maybe get some assistance, some divine help. I'm okay with that, but not the God literally showing up and be like, you know what? I could have been here at any other time, but I didn't feel like showing up until now. So now I will fix the problem, even though you are already mostly dead. Okay.
Fair.
Jacob, your
Okay.
second dislike?
My second line kind of bounces off what
Dislike.
Dislike. That's what I meant to say. Dislike.
He trips over his tongue sometimes.
I do. I trip over my tongue a lot. If I had a tail, I'd trip over
I'm
it.
not 100% sure the tongue stays attached.
Either or. Mine ties in with
Would you like
Drew's-
some roasted broly there? I'm just.
He doesn't like broccoli. Yes, that's what I said, Deedlitz.
Death beam. Death beam.
No, you cannot install vegetable transmogrifiers on your thing. Jacob does not need to be a giant broccoli.
Note to self: have MIFE storyline where Jacob becomes a broccoli kaiju and fights Kamen Rider.
Oh,
and then the
sweet.
rider kick magically turns him human again for no reason.
Mm.
So Kamen Rider
Sweet
dying?
Mother Hubbard.
So it's a fruit samurai fighting a giant broccoli monster?
This is not as weird as you think it is.
I've watched all of Gaib. I've seen weird and I know there's weirder. There's a video game one where Pac-Man is a character and I still need to see it.
My second dislike of this film, like Drew said in his first dislike, the dimension hopping situation where they break into a different time dimension space and go fighting there. That makes no sense. It was like, okay, that's cool. I know you want to draw the fight out a little bit more, but why are you breaking in different dimensions of all things? It made no sense. You're just trying to pad the story, trying to pad this fight out more. That's all you're doing.
So what you're saying is, what in the name of the multiverse is going on?
Exactly. Mine wasn't either or.
Gogeta, if you fight Broly in another dimension, you're gonna piss off both Grand Zenos.
Yeah, don't do that.
The gods of gods of gods.
That's my second dislike.
And then DBZ Jesus just shows up and says, all of y'all shut up.
My second dislike.
Can someone please do that? I need an illustration of Jesus in the Toriyama art
Let's
style.
not.
I guarantee you can probably find something like that on Pinterest or something like that.
He's like super jacked. You know?
Yeah. Roar.
My second dislike.
Rah, rah, rah.
Where was Ultra Instinct Goku in this?
That is true. He
In
fluctuates through.
In the last arc before this is where Goku first achieves Ultra Instinct form. he doesn't, admittedly, I think about when they finally get to the Goku part of the story, he and Vegeta are talking, they even mentioned that Goku doesn't remember how to do it because he hit
That's
that.
right, yeah.
He hit
I was
that form as a
just
fluke
about to
begin
make
with.
the joke that this is Goku we're talking about here. He probably forgot all of his power-ups.
He didn't
Well, some
forget
of
his
his power-ups.
power-ups. It's just that when he achieved it in Super, it was almost a fluke that he did it, and he's still not sure how he did it. But this would have been the perfect time to have him do the second one when he's fighting Broly even if he's Gogeta when it happens. That would have been a great time to have that come back up, and so you don't have to have your Deus Ex Machina, because that version of Goku should be able to be faster than Broly and be able to stop him from actually being able to do any damage, and that could allow him to calm down. But that's not what. But you're missing the toy opportunities here, Bandai. Go Toei. You need an excuse to have Ultra Instinct Gogeta happen, and you let it slip. That is why we have Ultra Instinct Shaggy.
I forgot about that.
So what you're saying is you want more Bandai mandate.
Yes. But I have nothing against Bandai mandates when they are used correctly. When the want for make toys is used to actually in the story push the story forward. When it's we need a toy to have a toy for the toy's sake, that's when I don't like it. When you're just doing a decision because it allows you to sell the toy. I'm looking at you, end of Forever Red, and killing Serpentera in the worst way possible. But I'm just saying, Ultra Instinct Goku would have been the perfect way to end this in movie form. Gogeta would have been the perfect. Well, I suspect they would have had to split before it happens, because from what I remember, the Vegeta half of Gogeta would probably not allow Goku to get into Ultra Instinct because of Vegeta's pride. Keeps him from being able to go keeps Vegeta from being able to go Ultra
according
Instinct.
to Vegeta, his pride won't even allow him to dance a jig. And I'm like, it's just
go
make your wife happy and go do some ballroom dance lessons together.
Exactly.
It'll probably make your fighting better.
I said it was the pride. It's because of Vegeta's ego. He can't go Ultra Instinct. That's why he gets his own form later in the manga called Ultra Ego. But Dragon Ball lore, who cares? I'm just saying this has been a perfect excuse. Even if you somehow got Vegeta knocked out of fusion, and then Goku went Ultra Instinct and took Broly out, that would have been a perfect way to end this without actually having to bring up the Dragon Balls and to do that. And yeah, we would have been disappointed that we had the Dragon Balls there and they didn't get used, but you don't have to use the Dragon Balls in every arc.
That is true.
The Dragon Balls didn't get used in every arc of the anime, so you don't need to do it in every movie. You can show up, but you don't have to do anything with them anyway. They should have had Ultra Instinct Goku, or for that matter, Ultra Instinct Gogeta would have been awesome too.
True.
That's okay. We get some decent new forms in the next film.
Yeah.
But not for Goku or Vegeta.
That's the one with the slightly redundant title.
Yes, that would be, which is what we're reviewing next week.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball Super,
Double Superhero.
Superhero. The one that is animated in the style of Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Yeah, and again, why?
I suspect COVID, but that's beside the point.
Thanks, COVID.
But we will be reviewing that next week.
Yes.
So, this is Drew from the future. We got so chaotic and having fun there that we forgot to rate the film. Nate, what are you going to rate this film?
I decimated this podcast so bad that we forgot to do one whole task. I give it an 8. I've seen better anime movies. I did enjoy this more than I was expecting. It was better than I expected. At points, I was thinking to myself, this is better than it has any right to be.
Yeah.
This is officially the best DBZ movie, best Dragon Ball movie I have seen. I don't know if there's anything that can come close to this. So, this might be peak, Dragon Ball movie at this point. Unless we're talking evolution. I mean, that's the one that can top it.
Lies and slander. Jacob.
Yeah, so I give it an 8.
Gosh.
You give it an 8. Okay, Jacob.
All right, I'm giving it a 9 because I really, really enjoyed it because you had such a buildup of story and character and world building and like animation. Great. Be like, it wasn't Battle of Gods where it was this very thin story or like all the other.
It was not a thin story.
Well, not a thin story, but you know what I mean.
Not a narrative excuse.
Not a narrative excuse. Thank you very much. This is better. That was a far better illustration than I could have.
I just raised the IQ points of this show at least 5 with that turn of phrase.
Thank you for that literary explanation.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so yes, I'm giving it a 9 because I like this movie was so well done. It raised the bar, and then the next movie kind of drops the peg a little bit.
It's a different story.
It's a different story.
They were trying
Thankfully,
something
there's
new.
no Goku.
I mean, he and
He's
Vegeta
in the
are
movie,
in
but
there,
he's not really in the movie, but he's in the movie. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie.
ironic
so it's a 9.
considering it's the Red Ribbon Army and Goku destroyed them once.
Yes, and now it's his son's turn to do it.
Yes.
So what do you reckon?
It's like, oh, you guys want a rematch? Screw it. I'll send Junior after you.
Well, Goku and Vegeta admittedly don't even know anything's going on because once again Whis forgot to check his emails.
Of course.
Just like in Resurrection F. But yeah, I'm giving this one an 8.5.
Ooh.
Kind of gonna come right in between there. I really do enjoy this film. It is fun. I do wish, honestly, that we got more of what we were getting in the first half of the film throughout the whole thing. And yeah, the Deus Ex Machina ending, like you mentioned, is a bit disappointing. I would have liked them to actually use the Ultra Instinct since that is there and that's a tool they could have used, but they chose not to. But other than that, yeah, I'm giving it an 8.5 because, and I do really think if I was going to rank the 4 movies, this right now is at number 1. I'll see if my rewatch of Superhero changes that, though. I know animation wise it probably won't. But anyway, yeah, thank you once again, Nate, for joining us, and y'all guys enjoy going back to the past and listening to us talk about Kate Mulgrew and her coffee.
Red Claw and her coffee.
Red Claw.
When you need
which
caffeine,
doesn't really sound like coffee. That sounds like a new product from White Claw, the alcohol.
Well, when you need caffeine.
When you got bounce, you can't bounce no more. Get Red Claw.
Anyway, y'all go enjoy Batman. But for now, we're going to hit the bumpers. We're going to pay some bills, and then we're going to review some.
Do you have any guests for next week?
Oh, yes, we do actually have a guest for next week.
Yeah.
Or at least a possible guest. I think he still is needing to verify something, but Dallas, I think, is supposed to be coming on next week.
Yes.
For Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Because he hasn't watched it yet. And he was needing an excuse. Which I can get behind. But why don't we play some bumpers and then talk about some Batman?
Yes.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out The Untold Podcast. The Untold Podcast is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. You can check out The Untold Podcast at theuntoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review. You can also check out, backing up. I'm an idiot. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons. Ashley and Francisco Ruiz. Hi, Roy.
Hi, Roy. Hi,
hail.
Princess Roy.
Yes, all hail Princess Roy. He'll love that. PaulJPowers.com. I forgot his name for a second. Sorry. Edwin Gonzalez and the Monster Out of the Vault, which technically you're not here because you're
off in the Louvre.
That's not what I was going to say. Now I got to cut that out. Henshin Power V3 is what he's here for. But anyway, if you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, I'm going to leave it in now, some special art from Jacob, or uncut episodes, or for $5 more, you can force us to watch something within reason.
Yes.
You can donate to us on our Patreon for that. Also, go check out our Redbubble store. We have a Dragonuary shirt, as you can plainly see if you're watching the video version. Go buy it. I'm not taking it down. I'm probably not going to ever take it down because that's a lot of extra work for me, and I'm lazy. But yeah, go check that out.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song the good folks sing.
Song the good folks sing.
In the great hall of the Justice League.
I might actually be doing mimicking the laugh every time I listen to your show now.
That's okay. Do you know what I do every time you mention who wrote your song? I quote along with it, your theme song, especially Juan Matrano, because that makes me laugh every single time.
I will admit, I worked for some odd reason. I worked really hard to get that one pronunciation right.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know why.
The Cat and the Claw, Part 1 and 2, which are production episodes 15 and 16 and broadcast episodes 1 and 8. Yeah, they aired 6 episodes between Part 1 and Part 2 because Part 1 aired on one Saturday, and Part 2 aired on the next Saturday, but then they showed 5 episodes in between.
I am so glad.
Thank you, Fox Kids.
I was going to say, I am so glad that the Blu-rays put them in production order because the broadcast order for this makes no freaking sense, which is why I get into disagreements with fellow Trekkers because everyone argues over what's the proper order to watch TOS. And I still prefer I prefer production order. Production order makes more sense, but the Blu-rays have them in broadcast order, which makes
I used when I last went through it, I went in Stardate order because there is a slight difference in that in production. So but the star dates are just made up anyway.
You're just an extra level of nerd there.
True. What's new?
Whoa.
These episodes first aired September 5th, 1992 and September 12th, 1992. They were directed by Kevin Altieri and Dick Sabast and written by Sean Catherine Derrick, Lauren Bright, Jules Dennis, and Richard Mueller. In these episodes, Gotham City has become the base of operations of a thief known as Catwoman, and soon the Dark Knight becomes aware of her presence. However, Catwoman is not the only criminal operating in the city, of course. An international terrorist by the name of Red Claw has also began working in the city, much to Batman and the Gotham City Police Department's dismay. It is then up to Batman to find the Red Claw while dealing with the conflicted emotions regarding Catwoman. Red Claw and her terrorists put their plans into motion, stealing a virulent strain of plague, which they used to hold the city for ransom. Meanwhile, Catwoman infiltrates the terrorists under Mountain headquarters, not realizing what she's getting into. When Batman follows her there, they're both captured, dressed up, and left to die as victims of the viral plague. And that is literally where my thing ends. So my summary doesn't say if they got out or not. They did. Spoiler alert, but... New cast for this episode. We've got Adrienne Barbeau as Catwoman.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fun fact, she's also been an Ultra.
Mm-hmm.
She was in that animated Ultraman movie that you guys are going to come on for eventually.
Sometime soon.
Yeah, sometimes if you get the original dub, which is the only one that you can readily get to right now. But I have seen a new one. But
I would think you'd want the original one since it's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah, but I'm still trying to sort out what the heck is going on. But anyway, continue.
Probably a rights issue. Anyway.
It's what I think it boils down to. But
Herb Edelman plays Stern. Kate Mulgrew plays Red Claw.
That is why it is a wonderful happenstance that you had me on. That was the other thing. So like we're making all the mild Henshin hero connections, and then when I was watching this and I saw that Kate Mulgrew voiced Red Claw, I was like, oh,
which is weird because
justifies my appearance even more.
There was only one line Red Claw said in this whole thing. I go, that's Janeway. I wonder if she's looking for coffee.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I will admit, even growing up, I never knew Kate Mulgrew was Red Claw until this time.
I never knew Mark Hamill was Joker until
I knew Mark Hamill was Joker. Oh Lord,
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah,
I knew, but I didn't know.
I think I saw Batman the Animated Series before I saw Star Wars. So
okay, fair
but
enough.
Anyway, so when I read before rewatching the episodes that Kate Mulgrew was Red Claw, I'm like, really? And then when I watch it, like, I can hear the Janeway now. It's like Janeway if she was, it's like Janeway if she was Russian, but or sort of
Russian Janeway.
Yeah, sort of Russian Janeway, but Janeway had a baby with Chekhov, and this is what and Red Claw is what came out. So it was weird, but there are also points where it really doesn't sound like Kate Mulgrew, so it throws me off a little bit.
Mostly in the second half.
Yeah, mostly in the second half. Yeah, but but this is pre-Voyager.
Yeah,
so I don't know if she was famous before. She was definitely famous. She
had guest starred. I know she'd been on a couple episodes of Cheers before this, but past that, I don't know what else she was on.
Right. So so it's interesting hearing her, pre-Voyager in this.
Yeah. We also got Mary McDonald Lewis as Maven and Frank Welker as Isis.
Which one was Isis?
The cat.
Oh, of course.
The black cat.
Oh, that makes sense.
The one that sounds like Frank Welker.
I want to know how the heck Isis stays attached to Selena when she's doing all of her ridiculous acrobatics off of buildings. I'm just at this point. I'm just chucking it up to comic book logic. Otherwise, he's digging into Selena's skin for dear life.
The only thing I can think of is like maybe the suit has a thicker outer coat where the cat can dig his claws into the suit and not harm her.
Maybe, I don't know. But I'm assuming Isis kept up with her because of her cat-like reflexes.
Yes.
Anyway, trivia for this episode, or these episodes. In order to capitalize on the hype of the live-action movie Batman Returns, it was decided by the powers that be that this episode would be the first to air despite being the 15th episode produced, because it featured Catwoman, who was one of the antagonists from the live-action film. The animated version of Catwoman / Selena Kyle even has blonde hair instead of being a brunette like in the comics, based on Michelle Pfeiffer's look in Batman Returns.
Which they drop when you get to the rebranded version of the show.
Yeah,
well, they redesigned everybody for that.
They redesigned everybody, but Selena got a pretty heavy redesign.
I think Penguin is still Danny DeVito in that.
No, they did. No, they redesigned it to look more like the comics and less like Danny DeVito. But it was... That's the thing about Batman the Animated Series. As great of a show as it is, no matter what order you go in, it doesn't feel like it has a proper premiere.
Yeah.
Because
it's either
I think it's supposed to be a continuation of the movies, but it doesn't fit as a continuation of the movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
and it definitely, after a while, it's just like, we're just leaving the movies behind.
Yeah. Yeah, the Tim Burton ones may have been the inspiration, but they ignored everything that was being done in the other guy's films, whose name I just
but eventually they just left the movies behind. It's like, we are our own thing. We're not tied to the movies anymore.
Yeah, at least they didn't go into Batman and Robin. They do a little bit.
They had Robin before the dang movie.
Agreed.
It's more like Batman and Robin was based off parts of Batman the Animated Series.
Well, Mr. Freeze certainly was.
Exactly.
Yes.
Kevin Altieri called for an almost impossible bit of animation. A scene where the Red Claw is briefing her men with a slideshow stage so she moves in front of the projected images during the briefing. In cartoons, if you want lines to bend over characters, it's not a trick, it's real animation. You shouldn't do it. The chances of it working are astronomical, but I went for it anyway, and they did it. They blew so many other simpler things, and they pulled this off. That was what Kevin Altieri said.
Wow.
There's a brief snippet of the song As Time Goes By from the film Casablanca, played when Catwoman admits loving Batman and driving off to face Red Claw. This song now plays as the instrumental overture for Warner Brothers Pictures as seen in their current opening logos.
Interesting.
Bruce Timm said that the end sequence is geared around the explosions, but they were artistically poor and the animation was redone 2 or 3 times. Although he felt the final product was still awful, they ran out of time and had to air it.
Yeah, the explosions are great.
I've seen a far better explosions in animated form on this show. So that's all I got for the trivia for this one.
Oh, I'm a little surprised you didn't mention that Red Claw was invented for the show.
I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah, Red Claw was, I looked it up because I'm like, once again, because this happened a lot, Red Claw was invented for the show and eventually got added to the comics, but from what I read, not until 2022.
Oh. Well,
but I did
admittedly,
I find screenshots of her comic debut.
I will admit, I assumed that Red Claw was just a minor villain that I had not ever heard of before.
Nope.
So.
No, because I double checked it because that even when I was a kid watching this episode, I kept thinking, it's like, who the heck is Red Claw? Is it like some? I was thinking it was probably some obscure. I will tell you, watching this show as a kid was very educational because this is where I first learned about a lot of Batman villains.
Yeah.
If it wasn't this, it was the movies. Because I didn't get into the comics until later. Because in the 90s, the comics were a little more intense than I was willing to deal with. Extreme. So
and nobody had good hands or feet.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks, Liefeld.
Yeah. Thanks, Liefeld. But so that was like I said, I looked up. So yet another contribution that this show made to comics.
Yeah, this was also I think it was this one, the first episode where Batman, after talking to somebody, disappears before they can finish their sentence.
But it wasn't Gordon.
It wasn't Gordon. Yeah. So
hadn't started that gag yet.
We finally had Batman and Gordon speak last episode. And now this episode, we had Batman do the disappearing thing, but it wasn't with Gordon. So I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. Now I will also say,
I'm actually so surprised we haven't had a Robin come back yet.
Now I will say this: when I was rewatching these, I remembered the title card. I remembered the title because I'm pretty sure I've seen every episode of this show at least 2 or 3 times by this point.
Probably.
But I will admit, I was having a hard time remembering all the events that are happening in this 2-parter. And I was like, why does it seem familiar, but also different? And then I did a little bit of digging, and then I figured, I was like, oh, it's because Red Claw comes back later. That's the episode I'm thinking of.
Ah, yeah. There is one more episode.
It's like the Lion and the Unicorn, I think is what it's
called. I did look it up because I was curious if this character ever came back. I was curious if Kate Mulgrew came back. And yeah, she's only on like one other episode. So.
It's one other episode.
Yeah. But what are y'all thoughts on this episode, Nate?
I will admit, it felt...
Or these episodes, I should say.
Well, yeah, because it's a 2-parter. But it felt a little... It felt, I don't want to say disjointed, but it felt like a completely different thing. Like it started off and you're just thinking, oh, it's going to be a Catwoman story.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there are terrorists. I mean, it's not super jarring, but it does feel like a sharp turn when we get to, when there are terrorists in town.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, this is the introduction of Catwoman in the show, but instead of just focusing on doing a story with Batman and Catwoman, we're throwing in a third party into this, and a pretty sizable third party. I almost wonder if maybe these originally were 2 separate stories and then somebody decided to just throw them together. And
I wouldn't be surprised.
Possibility.
It's not horribly stitched together, but it still feels a little weird.
I mean, my suspicion is that they wanted to have a Batman and Catwoman story where they weren't where Catwoman was not necessarily a villain. Because by this point, I think I could be wrong, but at this point, they had kind of worked her into a semi-anti-hero role in the comics.
Kinda.
Around that area, yeah.
That's the interesting thing about Catwoman, and why, I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer does a tremendous job in Batman Returns playing the character, but that's not comic book Selena. That is not comic book Catwoman. It's still better than whatever the heck.
We don't talk about Halle Berry.
Halle Berry was doing,
that was
whatever the heck that was. That doesn't even count.
That was the first woke movie.
Yeah. Well, not going there. Anyway, I will talk to you after when we're off the air, maybe. Hello, patrons.
I don't know.
Yeah, hello, patrons. But anyway,
in case I got to delete that.
Yeah, just in case. But anyway. So, but she is not insane. Almost every other Batman villain, at least the major hitters, they're all crazy in some form or another. Even somebody like the Riddler is technically nuts because he's a narcissist, but he's like a narcissist cranked to 12. All right. Catwoman is not that way. She is almost a pseudo anti-hero, and they play into that in this episode. And that's what makes Catwoman so interesting, and what makes her really kind of the perfect match for Bruce. And again, that's a longtime comic book tradition. They have played around with that quite a bit. There was a pre-crisis alternate Earth where they eventually got married, had a child, and that's where Huntress originally came from. And then post-crisis, they changed it so she wasn't Selena and Bruce's daughter. And then a few years ago, DC predictably teased the 2 of them getting married finally, and then it didn't happen for the dumbest reasons. Because
comic books.
DC, because comic books, and this is what Marvel and DC do anymore. They
screw up their big characters.
They screw up everything anymore. I'll just stick with the old stuff at this point. But anyway,
this is why I mostly now read independent.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair.
But so there's definitely, and again, the show plays into that, and it's actually it's very entertaining watching this because it's like Catwoman is the one villain who kind of breaks Batman's rough exterior. She's like the one villain who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because and it's almost like the Lois Lane, Clark Kent, and Superman thing where she's actually in love with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But she
can only date Bruce Wayne.
She can only date Bruce Wayne, but Bruce Wayne's at least mildly interesting. She at least admits like he's kind of interesting. I did like the bits where she's like, "Oh, I wish Batman was coming to see me." She opens the door and there's Bruce. But
yeah,
you know, so that's
it's like, well, you're half right.
Yeah, you're half right. Yeah, I'm surprised she doesn't. I wish they would have put in some sort of a joke where she's like, "Why does that chin look familiar?"
That bottom looks really familiar.
Yeah. Yeah,
you know, for
I don't
a billionaire
know.
playboy, you got some muscles.
Yeah.
Like, where do you work out at?
Yeah.
Crime alley.
Yeah, in a cave.
Have you seen Absolute Batman? Roar.
I don't know if Absolute Batman counts, but
anyway,
from what I hear, Absolute Batman makes no sense. But
it's
comics. But anyway, the Catwoman parts of this, I was really interested in and I was really into. The Red Claw stuff was honestly a lot less interesting to me.
Yeah.
Even though I get what they're trying to do with this, and it's an interesting parallel. It just wasn't as interesting to me, which is sad because it's Kate Mulgrew. I should be excited about this.
The Red Claw stuff was like the most 60s era Batman stuff to me.
Agreed.
It's like this.
I don't know.
This is
I don't think
like,
Batman in the 60s would not be fighting terrorists.
No, but
they're not self-identified, but he wouldn't be fighting.
He would be trying to stop someone from releasing some kind of virus in Gotham City.
Maybe, but that still seems weirdly
weirdly
dark for 60s Batman.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just seemed like all the stuff with Red Claw was so campy to me compared to the rest of the show. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I really didn't like Red Claw as a villain.
Doing thick Russian sort of
which was weird to hear, I'll admit. But
yeah, it is very strange. I am not sure where Red Claw is from, but it sounds pseudo-Russian for some odd reason.
If it was Marvel, I would guess Sokovia, but since it's DC, I have no idea. Probably hangs out with Scarlet Witch, for all I know.
Red Claw, Scarlet Witch.
That's where I got that. Yes.
Yes.
They can start like the Rouge Sisterhood. It's all a bunch of supervillains who wear super villainesses who wear red.
Sisterhood of the Traveling Mask. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah. The stuff with Catwoman was the most interesting part, and I wish that was what the focus of the episode primarily was.
Agreed.
Everything with
Part 1 felt like that's what it mostly was, and then part 2 is more dominated by Red Claw.
Yeah.
Part 1 felt more like the rest of the show. Part 2 felt like we need an excuse for this to end somewhere, and to do something that's going to put Catwoman and Batman in a precarious place so that Catwoman can save Batman's life with her claws. So let's have them in a terrorist base.
Yeah. Have them team up.
By the way, part 2 was written by an entirely different team than part 1.
Oh, that makes sense.
That explains so much.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I mean, Sean Catherine Derrick was the story editor or the main story writer, basically the showrunner on both of these episodes. But this is not long, and it's not long after she left the show. So
yeah. By the way, interesting observation. Red Claw is the only woman in this terrorist cell.
Yeah,
only one,
and she's in charge. And there clearly has to be a feminist giving some of her dialogue.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because everyone is shocked to find out that she's not a man. Admittedly, she does look a little manly. I'm just saying.
But at the same time, there's like, you're telling me this feminist, the feminist runner of this organization doesn't have a couple women working for her because she should think they're better than the men. At least in the executive positions.
Maybe she's a practical feminist and she realizes that dudes are going to get the job done better.
Maybe so, because this is going to sound horrible. At least they wouldn't have as much drama.
Are we trying to see if we can get onto a Stunning and Brave episode right now?
Maybe.
No, I don't know, but I just thought that was.
They haven't released an episode in a while, so I doubt it.
I did think that was interesting. If this was a show for grown-ups, you could try getting into some really weird places. Like maybe she uses her feminine wiles to lure all these men into the terrorist cell and then manipulate them. And then manipulate them to do suicide bombings and all kinds of horrible.
Could.
Yeah.
Maybe she's being a little Broly.
No.
I tried.
Anywho. Ay.
Okay, Alpha.
What I was about to say, okay, Alpha. Should have auditioned for Alpha. There you go.
Exactly.
Maybe the next time it comes up. Who knows? But Jacob, what are your thoughts on this?
I enjoyed it. You guys did an excellent job kind of describing it. It's got the first act is very well done. You do have the introduction of Dark Claw. No, that's
Red Claw.
Yes,
Claw.
I'm aware. Red Claw.
Dark Claw is something else.
Yeah, that's amalgam.
Yeah. Oh, someone actually knows what that is.
Yes, I know what amalgam is.
That's a deep cut.
I know amalgam. I just don't know how most of the characters.
Yes, the
Dark Claw.
But they like Dark Claw. That's got to be Batman and Wolverine.
Yes, it is.
Batman and Wolverine.
It's funky, but it
was
the
a
90s.
weird thing. The
was.
90s was a wild time for comic books. People go look up the amalgam universe sometime.
Yes,
it will blow your mind.
They recently released the Omni book. The omnibus.
I need to go buy that.
Well, spend about $80 on it.
Well, it'd be
but
worth it.
It's a lot of comics, sir.
It's a lot of
comics, and who knows how much longer DC and Marvel will act nice enough to each other for this to happen.
That is true.
I want them to let
me rephrase that. We don't know how much Warner Brothers and Disney will be nice enough to allow
I just want them to do more than a limited run of the last official crossover that they did in the comics, namely Avengers versus Justice League. They did a limited reprint when the Mr. Perez, the artist, died.
Yeah.
And I tried to get one, but I didn't. But I didn't get it. I need those comics in my life anyway.
Fair. Yeah, it's a good episode. It does the juxtaposition between episode 1 and episode 2 is a little bit weird because you do have it's primarily Catwoman the first episode, then you get Red Claw. Red Claw is obviously in the first episode a little bit.
Yeah.
But
also the cliffhanger for part 1 is a random terrorist goon just like, aha, we know who you are now, and you're going to die or whatever.
Yes.
I'm like, why is it this goon that I'm probably never going to see again, and not like Red Claw?
It's weird. It's weird, but I do like that. Kate Mulgrew, am I saying that right? Kate Mulgrew. Mulgrew. Now I'm
Janeway.
Yes, I'm wearing Janeway.
Just say Janeway.
I want to say the name right. Thank you very much.
Mulgrew, as
Kate
in
Mulgrew.
That person grew up.
Yes. Okay. Aware. Thank you, Kate Mulgrew. I'm going to butcher it. Janeway.
That's what I told you.
Anyways, I am terrible.
Kate Mole grew up into Catherine Janeway.
Okay. Anyways, I did enjoy her performance, even though I didn't realize it was the actress who later become Catherine Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. But I did.
I got that without us mentioning Voyager.
Wow.
I'm just saying you don't watch a lot of the TV shows.
No, I don't.
So I don't
grew up
know
in the
how much
movies.
of the TV show information you know.
I know a lot.
The only time I know that would have come up was during the Lower Decks episode that was the Voyager tease.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes, anyways. So I did enjoy her performance as Red Claw. Again, I didn't know it was actually her because they're going Star Trek Voyager had not come out yet. Because that came out in the mid-90s?
Yeah,
mid-90s, 96? No, I think it was 96.
Yeah, it was 96. I remember when that came out. I was like, wait a minute, they're coming out with another one? Okay, cool. But
96, yeah.
Yeah, because for me personally, I was a movie guy. My dad had the entire first 6 movies, watched those to death, and it was like, because It was like, oh, Star Trek, the original movie, the original show, kind of boring as a child. I respect it now as an adult, but either or.
He doesn't watch He didn't watch black and white movies back then
black
either.
and white.
So I know, but I'm just saying as an example, you didn't watch black and white movies around from that time period for a while for the same reason.
Yeah. Either or, but now I do have a greater respect.
I'm going to strap
He's
if I
been
ever visit.
forced to watch some Star Trek original series by yours truly.
A little bit. It was against my will. It was against
because
my will.
you're a good friend, Drew. I'm just saying. Apparently, when I come visit you guys, I'm going to have to strap.
It's my will. This is totally against my will.
Apparently, what I need to do if I ever visit you guys in Texas is I need to strap Jacob to a chair with duct tape, with his wife's permission, of course, and then force them to watch. I don't know, like the original King Kong and the original Godzilla, because they're black and white.
He has seen those because we reviewed both on the Movie of the Week podcast.
Yes, we have.
And King Kong is on the list eventually to get redone on this show.
I have watched a lot of the
I'll
older
clear my schedule.
I don't know when. It's not this year, but it is on the list eventually.
Maybe by the time he gets down here, eventually be like, oh, we can have he's in studio.
So about the time they finish building Interstate 69. Okay.
Yeah, probably. You never know. Either
Wait. You guys have an Interstate 69 too?
They're
building
they're
one.
extending the one that's by you all the way down to Laredo, Texas.
Well, that's going to make my life a little easier.
Well, it will be if Louisiana and Arkansas, Mississippi can ever get funding.
True.
I heard a wild story this week about counties in Illinois who are so fed up with Chicago they want to secede, and there are apparently leaders in Indiana who say, "Hey, you want to join us? We'll adopt you."
Oh gosh. Either or. I really enjoy these episodes. Again, the juxtaposition for what the first episode and the second episode is a little bit weird, because they're again understanding that there is two different writing teams, two different directors. The whole enchilada is different. So you do have this odd mix, like it is two different stories that they had to mash together to make one episode. So I enjoy it. I wish it was a little more fluid in the storytelling. It wasn't so, whoa, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, I remember the later Red Claw episode being more cohesive, but it's been a while since I've seen it.
Well, this has the problem a lot of these early episodes of Batman the Animated Series have had, and I use problem here loosely, and that is they don't really know what the show is yet.
True.
Except for Heart of Ice, because our Heart of Ice is brilliant. And you, sir, forgot to mention that Heart of Ice won a frickin' Emmy.
It did.
My bad.
And then what was the other thing?
I was more interested in the fact that there was a Klingon playing Mr. Freeze.
Oh, yeah, which I understand. But what was the other thing I had to correct you on?
Me calling it Henshin Men V3.
Oh, yeah, you called it Henshin Men V3. It's Henshin Power V3, sir.
I'm sorry. It's easier to say. It happens. I misspoke.
I'm not the only one who does that.
Because
whatever. You are officially roasted Kakarot, all right?
Look, I'm sitting here next to Auntie Broly. How much he hates broccoli.
Auntie Broly.
Yeah. Roar, broccoli.
Anyway, we have anything else to add before we move to the outros?
Well, let me double check my notes here. Oh well, there. When I did think this line was kind of funny when Red Claw's going on about how I'm not a man, because. Even Batman's like, I thought you'd be a man. And then she acknowledges that. And he says, don't worry, I'm an equal opportunity crime fighter.
Yeah, I love that. It's so good.
It's like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's I took a fair amount of notes on this, but.
There's a surprise.
Oh, yeah. He mentions, this is interesting. This is a fascinating thing. And I originally heard about this as I think it was Nicholas Meyer, director of Star Trek 2 and 6,
yeah.
brought this up in his commentary for
Right.
2, and I thought it was such an
Four.
interesting concept because you got to know Nicholas Meyer started off originally as a literary guy.
Mm-hmm.
He
And
wrote
then
a
got
Sherlock
into-
Holmes novel.
Yeah, and then got into movies and directing movies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Not
and his
many,
love
but
of
yes.
literature is all over his Star Trek movies, as you can see.
Mhm.
Well, he brought up an interesting thing about how people watch the Star Trek movies, and then if they go back and watch the show, they bring the knowledge and development that they know of from the characters from the movies and then start retroactively applying it to the show, and it suddenly makes the characters more interesting in that show, even though the creators had no idea about those later developments. And I feel like we have a moment of that in here because Bruce tells Selena when he I think it's in part 2. It's in a scene where he's going to pick her up to go on a date. Which, by the way, I completely misheard one of the women who was trying to flirt with Bruce. I thought she says I've been pinching my pennies for you, and I thought she said
Oh, no.
pennies. I backed it up to make sure. I was like, wait, what?
That's better than what I was afraid you were going with that.
Yeah, but anyway, and he says, I haven't felt like this for anybody in a long time, and I kind of thought to myself, like, wow, I've seen Mask of the Phantasm. That line suddenly has more weight.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So
Exactly.
I just thought I would bring that up. I thought that was an interesting little thing, but
I need to figure out where that movie fits into the timeline.
Mask of the Phantasm?
Yeah, I think it's the end of season 1.
It is,
but I got the way the seasons are in here. I got to figure out which episode it's actually the end of season 1.
I also, it's funny that we were bringing up the whole feminist thing with Red Claw. I wonder if you took this episode exactly as is and threw it out as, the newest episode of the newest Batman show. I wonder if in the current environment, if people would have lost their freaking minds over it, but because it's on this show, and this show, it was the 90s, and it's earned its reputation and its place in history, that no one even thinks about that. Something to consider given some of the lines that are in here.
Yeah, I can see that.
And some of the things that happen. I don't want to get too political on here. I just think it's interesting that, because I have a feeling it might have become culture war fodder.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
probably.
Even if you didn't change a thing and you just put it out in present day. But
yeah,
no one brings it up.
There would be people who would have issues with it. They'll be like, you put something out there, someone's going to have an issue with it, no matter what. Be like, if it's the greatest thing in the world, if you say something wrong, if you say something that's not in the scope of how people view things now, they are going to shred you to bits.
Right.
And
because you have Red Claw saying things like, she's Batman's equal, and obviously it would have to be a woman.
Yeah.
It's like, I guarantee you that would.
Oh, that was
a culture war. The people would have latched onto that and lost their minds over
it. We would
have been like 300,000 clickbaity YouTube videos about it.
Everybody like making their own comments about everything and trying to win the culture war prizes or what have you.
Yeah.
But I'm again, it's grateful that it was made in the 90s, because there again, it was like, oh, it's culture thing.
Yeah,
or it's that's a good little nod. Hey, that's a good idea.
Well, but I do think it's offset by the fact that it's just, I don't know if it was necessarily, the writers trying to preach at people. It just felt like this character would say this to Batman.
Yeah, of course.
Because she's the villain, and obviously she would think she's superior to Batman because she's a woman, or whatever. She seems like the type to say that, because obviously none of the other characters are doing stuff like that. Selena's not acting that way. So, I think it's offset very nicely.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But it was just a funny observation I made because I'm like, yeah, I see stuff like this become clickbait fodder all the time in 2025.
Yay, 2025.
Yay.
At least it's not COVID.
Yeah. Thanks, COVID.
Anyway, I think that's about it for the coverage.
I think so.
But since Nathan is here, actually, we would do this anytime we had a guest, but I have to say it this way, it's because Nathan is here. It's time for shameless self-promotion.
I'm gonna copyright that. You pay me money every time you say it.
No, I'll just play the little copyright thing from the end of the Grandmaster.
Plagiarism. I was getting very Frieza there. See, here's the thing. I might be a voice actor for Scyther and all that, but if someone managed to get like a Dragon Ball Z audio drama made, I'm like, I'm not auditioning. That's too much screaming.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
What? I don't need the police call coming to my apartment every time I'm recording an episode because all they hear is me yelling at the top of my lungs. Look, you see, I'm playing a Saiyan who's trying to go Super Saiyan, but he can't.
Except
he's
you know
got
what?
a
I would totally be the guy just to mess with people. I would just like the first 5 episodes would just be the Goku voice actor screaming on loop for 30 minutes.
Anyway,
Last time on Dragon Ball Z, the audio drama. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, the audio drama.
Hey! So, Nate, shameless self-promotion, you have said, is your spiritual gift.
Yeah, it is.
So get to gifting.
Yeah. Get to gifting. Yeah. So I've mentioned all of my, all my other current podcasts. I have a couple of other ones that are in the archives if you want to go look those up, namely Henshin Men, sir.
I was
and the power
that way.
and the Power Trip. And, but my current ones, if you want to check those out, then they should totally just get added to Culture Box just with the sheer amount of involvement I already have with people, including the Cellcast, unofficial third co-host. But they are the Monster Island Film Vault, a podcast seeking entertainment and enlightenment through tokusatsu. You gentlemen are proud patrons, and I am very grateful for that of the show. And so if you're into kaiju and tokusatsu, check that out. It also has developed audio drama elements because I just can't help myself. So you can go check those out too. Although I'm now trying to partition those a little bit more. So if you're more interested in film discussion and not necessarily in the narratives, you don't necessarily have to, follow the narrative portion. Edwin says watch. But anyway, and then a Henshin Power V3 is what I'm representing here tonight. That's why I'm not in kayfabe, as I like to say. That is a show where 3 friends have 3 minutes to talk about tokusatsu. I would have loved having both of my co-hosts on tonight to do that. I'm trying.
We will find a way eventually to get them both on here at the same time.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be fun. It would have probably been even more chaotic, but
we would still be talking about a Broly fight right now.
Yes, we probably would.
We probably would. But so if you're into tokusatsu television, go check that out. Our gimmick is that we cover 10 episodes of a tokusatsu, a Henshin hero, I should specifically say, television series, because it isn't necessarily going to be Japanese or live action. We are actually going to be doing some animation coverage in the next couple of months because we will be doing the Guyver animes.
Yay. I just listened to the Bottom Shelf episodes on the Guyver movies, so yay.
Not the live action movies.
I know it's different.
Animes.
It's different, but still.
I can already tell you.
I'm assuming the show's better.
I'm probably gonna rant master about the OVA movie that was technically the first adaptation of any kind for Guyver. I've watched some bits of it here and there. I have never seen such flimsy justification for fan service in my life. I already have opinions. But anyway, so we'll be getting into some animation there. But our gimmick is that we only have 3 minutes, theoretically, to talk about every episode, which allows us to burn through about 10 episodes at a time. So it's a nice middle ground between Henshin Men, where it was only 2 episodes at a time, and the Power Trip, where it was an entire season. Which
I'm still having I think I still have PTSD from Car Ranger. Because Turbo was there too.
Yeah, well, what was it, Dapu? Yeah.
Buck naked Dapu.
Poor Jacob just doesn't know, and he's probably better for it. And it died again. Yeah. And it died again. Anyway, so those are my primary podcasts, but I'm also a writer and an author. So check out my author website, nathanjsmarchand.com. I'm hoping to have a new short story collection out pretty soon. And I'm also a contributing writer, among other places, to the Kaiju United, the premier kaiju website on the internet. And I'm also a member of the stable of actors for Carl Dudden over at Scyther Podcasts. And I'm on 3 of their shows right now, playing 3 different characters. These are all fan-produced audio dramas. I am the Johnny Storm baby on the Avengers show because they do crossovers sometimes with the Fantastic Four. I also, of all people, play Deadpool on X-Men. I'm still waiting to get a proper appearance. I've just been a post-credit gag so far. But most notably and notoriously, I am Rito on Power Rangers. And I keep saving that bonehead's life. I have kept him from dying at least twice now. Because
that takes some skill.
He's already gotten stabbed. And I convinced Carl to bring him back as an undead cyborg. So Rito's not going anywhere for a while. I just can't get rid of him. It's like a bad penny. Which sounds like it would be a great name for a supervillainess. I'm just saying. Bad penny.
Bad penny.
She hangs out with Two-Face. Now that would be funny. Like Two-Face gets like a Harley. It
have to be a Harley.
And her name is Bad Penny. Oh, that would be so good.
Played by Kaylee Cuoco.
Why
from
not?
Big Bang Theory.
Why not?
That's her character, and that was Penny. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. Yeah. So join us next week for what is the next? The next 2 episodes I remember are some good ones for Batman. Let me get it up here. Next week, our Batman episodes are See No Evil and Beware the Gray Ghost.
Oh, the Gray Ghost is so good.
I think that's the main reason Dallas is really trying to get on that episode.
I can imagine.
Oh, the Gray Ghost is such
a good episode.
So join us next week for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And this is Nathan.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
On the next episode of Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo is playing a grandfather.
There are three things I refuse to tolerate: cowardice, bad haircuts, and military insurrection. And it is unfortunate that our friend Vegeta possesses all three of these.